Hello and welcome to On the Esky. The whole crew's back here in the studio. We've got Monks, Peppy and the Ginger Ninja Steamer as well. And of course myself, Sean. So today on this podcast, we're going to go start local with the Australian sports and then we'll tackle the wider world of sports and the news that's going on. So with that, we will look into a bit of the news and the player movements in the NRL and AFL. Of course, all the big news in the NFL and a little bit of player news in the NBA. Big chat about cricket, some news in the F1, a little bit of boxing, some EPL, and to finish up with a bit of rugby. So to kick off, we're going to start with the cricket, and I think we'll start with the Warner injury, which happened in the game where we were doing our podcast last week, Saturday being today for us here in Australia.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he's tweaked his groin. It looks like he might be out for up to 4 weeks. Could miss the first two tests. Massive injury concern here for the Aussies in both finishing these T20 internationals against India.
Did you see him do the injury? Like, he was
Yeah.
diving, I think, to his left and kind of rolled over and it just...
fielding.
Yeah, it was fielding. He tweaked his legs and just pulled his groin.
Yep. So wishing him a speedy recovery. Does obviously open a bit of speculation as to who's going to open for Australia. We have been talking, the last few episodes about it's going to be Warner and who. So now it's who and who. Yeah. Burns and Pukowski, obviously.
So firstly, loose bus change filled in for him in the last ODI.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then Darcy Short and Finch for the first T20, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So you'd think Finch and Short won't be playing Test match cricket. Marnus is a shout to open in the Test match.
He's pretty solid
Test match
lock
arena
for the middle order. You think?
I'd think they'll
keep him where he is.
I'd agree. Yeah, he'll bat 4. I'd think or 3, and they'll go with 2 specialist openers.
Yeah, you'd think Burns would be 1. Because they were kind of arm in arm about him being there. But he's got to prove his form.
Yeah, form hasn't been great in Shield cricket. I'm a big Joe Burns fan, obviously being his lookalike. But yeah, obviously needs to make some runs. Is that a trial game?
Tomorrow. India A versus Australia A.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Burns and Pukowski likely openers for Australia A. So could be the openers for Australia.
Yeah, indeed.
Versus India.
Indeed. So. You reckon that's on KO? Have to have a look.
If Foxtel broadcasts
India A versus Australia A, maybe not.
Might be maybe a bit of a stretch, but yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see who's going to be playing in that first test. What's going on with Channel 7?
Well, I think we'll come back to that, Peppy, but we'll run through the games that have happened since then, because that injury happened
Sunday, the second ODI, which Australia went on to win that game.
Mm-hmm. So won the series.
Wrapped up the series in Sydney, 2-0, and then Wednesday's game, India win that dead rubber. They go to 2-1 in the series.
So run us through that game. That was Wednesday night.
Yeah, so I was over there, international cricket in Manuka Oval.
Lovely.
Yeah, it used to be a pretty rare thing. Only 4 or 5 years ago, it's starting
beautiful
to
cricket ground.
Yeah, I really love watching it there. It's sort of doesn't have that big stadium feel. It still feels a bit suburban and.
It's a big field though.
It is, yeah.
The playing surface is.
So the
big,
dimensions of the Manuka Oval, I think, in terms of square meterage, it's second only to the MCG.
Yeah. G-esque.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, they do play AFL there, so.
Yeah. Well, they play AFL at the SCG as well. Yeah. So
that's the comparison.
Yeah. So India won the toss and elected to bat in this one. Virat Kohli made 63. After we got him, we thought, maybe we've got a chance here. But that middle order of India is just really good. With our mate Hardik.
Your best mate.
Pandya, he smashed 92 off 76, hits the ball really clean. And Ravi Jadeja is one of the better all-rounders in the world at the moment. He had 66 off 50. The bowlers sort of shared the wickets. No one really of note there.
It's kind of loads of changes for both teams in this game, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Just being a dead rubber.
Yep.
A few injury concerns as well. There was kind of both teams had 3 or 4 changes to lineups.
Yeah, so
good opportunity experiment, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And see how some of the young blokes are faring. So Australia in return made 289. Finch had 75 at the top of the order. Big Maxi, the big show, smashed 59 off 38. But once he got out, it sort of got the feeling that we weren't going to have the firepower. They ended up going down by 13 runs in the dead rubber.
It looked like they were on track until Maxi got out.
Yeah.
They could have got that score, but yeah, as soon as Maxi went out, it kind of died off.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
The bowlers really didn't add
Top
enough.
three didn't fire as they had in the previous matches.
Correct,
Obviously,
yeah.
Smith had been on a blistering streak, and he didn't get a ton again. So
yeah, you can imagine our disappointment. He was out quite early in the
and
inning.
Marnus was out early opening as well. So it was really
Marnus
only
and Smith,
Finch that contributed
Yeah.
for the top order, and then probably needed a bit more. Bit too much for Maxi to do at the
Yeah, I
end,
think
wasn't
so.
it? Like,
Yeah, a bit of
what he got 59 of 38. That's still very good contribution.
yeah.
But probably had too much to do.
That's right. Probably need another 30 out of that top order.
Yeah, well, had to carry them to the victory, and once you lose Maxwell, then
Yeah.
Puts a lot of pressure on your bowlers to try and go.
Especially
in there
without
and win the game.
Stoinis as well.
Yeah, big
him
Stoy.
being out
Yeah.
for injury. He'd be your other power hitter towards the end.
For sure. Shardul Thakur was the best of the Indians for 3 for 51. I don't believe he played in those first two
No.
games.
He gave someone a big stare down send off. I
Yeah.
can't remember who he got out, but he was bit much for probably a dead rubber game. But
Yeah.
probably fairly new to international cricket. He was loving getting a wicket.
Yeah,
so.
they are very passionate, the Indians. I can tell you
Love their
that
cricket.
much for sure. So that brings us into the first T20, also at our beloved Monaco Oval. And I was lucky enough to get down to that one last night. A little bit of news before the game, which I had no idea about, obviously being there. We found out later that Mitchell Swepson was given the call to get down from Sydney. He was set to play in the Australia A versus India A game up there with an injury to Ashton Agar sustained in that Wednesday game. They had to get him down quick sticks. They wanted to play 2 spinners. He had to drive himself down. Not the ideal preparation, and it did show in his first over, bowling a few rank half trackers, and then he got Virat Kohli off a rank half tracker, so didn't seem to hurt him too much. Australia actually won the toss and elected to bowl in this game. A bit of a puzzling decision for mine. The Indians obviously have a fantastic record chasing in both T20 and ODI cricket. Perhaps that was some of the thoughts there. Maybe there was a little bit of nip in that Monaco deck.
Interesting, because all 3 ODIs, the team that won the toss, batted first,
Yep.
won the game.
Yeah.
So
none of the chasers have
to
won.
flip that out,
Yeah.
So
It actually didn't seem like the worst decision because other than a nice 51 runs from KL Rahul, the Indians were really struggling. They looked like they could make 130 there at one stage. Ravi Jadeja, again, continuing his good form with the bat, smashed 44 off 23 balls. A little bit of controversy here. Let's discuss it now. So he gets struck in the head. They run out. He also had a bit of a hamstring tweak. You could tell that he wasn't running really well. The doctors say, no, he's good. He's good. He's going to finish his innings.
The Indian doctor,
Correct. Yeah. Well,
the team doctor, that is.
the team doctor. So he goes out. He smashes a few boundaries after that happens. Finishes with 44 not off 23. A nice little knock. Then
they didn't come and check him after that head knock, did they? They just kept batting.
he just kept batting.
Yeah,
he
but
kept
no
batting.
doctor came out to him or anything like that. Or
It's hard to tell who runs out, if they're doctors, if they're support staff, if it's
the water boy.
if it's if it's a 12th man.
He's all right.
Essentially, he goes into the sheds, gets a HIA and gets ruled out from the second innings. His replacement then goes out and becomes man of the match with 3 wickets. Chahal, we'll get to the Aussie innings just in a sec. The rules do state, it is a new rule with concussion, that the right decision was made. Obviously, for us sort of starting to get a little bit old school in the way that we approach cricket, 12th men were never allowed to bowl. If someone was injured,
They were sub-fielders.
They were sub-fielders, yep. But it is a new rule, 1.28, if anyone wants to read the ICC rule book. But I think the experts are saying it is probably a good rule to have. The only thing is, if he's got hit on the head, you need to do that HIA right there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Because you don't want the second one. The second one's what gets you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the actual killer.
And if he's good enough to be blasting a few sixes, then maybe he's good enough to field. Anyways, it's out of our domain. There was a little bit of controversy there.
yeah, because if he can't continue playing because of a hamstring injury, you can of course have a 12th man come in and field, but they can't bowl.
Correct.
But if you get substituted out because of a concussion, then that player can come in and bowl or bat. Compete.
Very convenient.
Correct.
Yes,
And that's quite a new
and
rule.
so you could see Langer. Had quite a spirited chat with David Boone, who's the match referee, because Langer was thinking, oh, he's got a hammy injury, and quite conveniently he's been concussion subbed.
Yes.
Yeah,
So we can get an extra bowler in there.
yeah, that's right. So that's a big difference. Yeah, whether he's hamstring injury, concussion,
It's all a bit sticky, isn't it? But it's India go up 1-0 after dropping the ODI series. It's really going to make a pretty interesting game 2 and game 3 back in Sydney. Of the Aussies, Finch had 35 of 26. Darcy Short had 34, but 8 up 38 balls.
it's slow.
It's a little bit slow.
It obviously hasn't played any elite cricket for a while. I can't
Probably only prepping for Big Bash League coming up. So
but he's Big Bash prep, maybe a little bit of grade.
He started pretty quickly though.
Yeah,
but obviously
and
during the middle overs
just got really
against
quite-
the spinners,
quite tied down. And Moses Enriquez actually had.
Did he play in the
quite a
IPL?
good game?
Darcy Short. No,
No, I don't.
Because
believe
I think
so.
it was a recent tournament, and that was a month and a half ago. So,
no, he didn't play.
so probably a bit rusty.
Yeah, a little bit rusty. Obviously, Darcy, great Big Bash the last few years. Very entertaining when he's on. And that Chahal that we mentioned was the 12th man. Ended up getting the man of the match with a 3 for 25 effort off his 4 overs. Looking forward to game 2 tomorrow night in Sydney.
And obviously, because of the year that it's been, not as much international cricket as normal, but have heard that India undefeated in T20 internationals in 2020.
Yeah, I
not
think
the
that's
same feat as other years gone by, but
I
obviously,
think that's still from 9 games.
yeah. And with all the IPL just serves them really well in preparing all their players for having a really strong squad as
Yeah.
well. So
And probably the last thing I want to mention, there's something about India with T20 cricket and the fans, they just gravitate towards it. There was probably a slight Indian majority at Manica for the ODI. Last night sitting in there, I felt like I was in downtown Bangalore. Like it was probably 80% Indian fans, really vocal. They make a great atmosphere. They cheer everything. And it's funny to see the impact of the IPL in changing the way the fans respond to cricket. I don't think we'll see similar crowds like that in this Test series.
Yeah. Well, as a comparison, that's their number one sport. That's their number one league over there.
Yeah, I suppose, but the Indian Test team's the best it's ever been. I don't know if it's something with the way the fans interpret the game.
maybe you can keep the energy up for 3 hours. You can't keep it up for 8 hours, for
Over
5
5
days in a
days.
row. It's like,
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
go hard for 3 hours.
And there were guys on top of their seats dancing for 3 hours. There was some shirts coming off in the victory. Like it looked like a music festival out there, and they were absolutely loving it. So it's good to see, and it's for me. It does bring a little bit of that passion and excitement into the air and creates a pretty cool atmosphere.
Was it 65% capacity or
Something like
around
that. They had
Yeah.
about just under 6,000
Yeah.
people, and I'll tell you what. If it was 6,000 Aussies there, it would have been a whole lot quieter. It was 6,000 in there, and it felt like 20,000 with the way the Indians were cheering on their side.
So the Aussies won the 2 games in Sydney. India won the 2 games in Canberra. Now back for 2 more games in Sydney. So hopefully that bodes well for the Australian team. And just on that, I think the crowd capacity, the games this week are Sunday and then Tuesday. That Sunday one still got limitations, but then Tuesday one is back to full capacity, no limitations. So
Yeah, right.
I mean, it is a Tuesday, so whether that limits how many people get along, but
Who wants to drive up on Tuesday? Yeah, will be big and awesome to see full crowds. If they get a full crowd, they may not on a Tuesday. We'll see.
Probably not on a Tuesday from It's a late game though. It'll be after work.
At the SCG, so
and they might get 25 or 30.
Yeah, they'll get a few.
The other bit of international cricket that's going on at the moment, New Zealand is walloping the West Indies on a very green deck in Hamilton.
Very green doesn't do justice.
can you tell the pitch from the rest of the
Essentially
field?
it was
Or
the exact
They mowed
same-
a little bit. That's about it.
It was the exact same colour throughout. I've never seen a deck that green
neither.
in cricket before. It played a little bit truer than what you'd expect. The West Indies bowlers didn't seem to take advantage. Kane Williamson, absolute freak, goes out and makes 250. I think they made about 590 declared, and then just skittled them yesterday. So
That's West Indies cricket, though.
yeah, that looks like this test might be over in 3.5 days with a pretty comfortable Kiwi win. Or
Depends how long New
Black
Zealand
Cap
want to
win,
bat
I
for.
should say.
And I think the other international news that I think South Africa was scheduled to play England in a one-dayer. I think in South Africa that had to get postponed because one of the South Africans tested positive pre-match.
Yep.
I think so.
Because what are they playing at the moment? They've been playing. They played a one day or a test this week because they played a game this week. The two of them.
Oh, I'm not sure. I missed that.
Because that was the story about.
Well, it wouldn't have been test match.
No, I think
it was a one day.
A one day, yeah.
Yeah.
Because from that came that story about how England were using signs or signals from the balcony, so from the dressing rooms, using basically flip cards, and they're flipping over the balcony with a number and a letter, which obviously must have corresponded to some field position or some strategy that they'd predetermined and pre-worked out. But yeah, I think some of the old boys were like, can't do that. That's a bit new tech. But you know, us boys watching NFL, we see them do all signals and all sorts of things on the sidelines.
AFL does it now.
Yeah,
they hold
AFL
up
does it.
signs.
Soccer's done it for a while.
Just saves the water boy having run all the way out there.
Exactly. It's just strategy.
In cricket these days, the boys want new gloves every over.
Yeah.
The 12th man comes out just about every over. So does it make much of a difference, really? Like,
you ever seen Smudge's cricket bag? The bottom of it is dead set glove. There is
I think it's
50
30 to 40 or something like that.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
about a dozen bats. Yeah.
But that water boy can run out there and
That's
say,
why they need a squad.
4E.
Australia need a squad of 15 or something. The last 3 or 4 just carry Smudge's equipment.
Carry his bags around.
Imagine if the water boys pulled their hamstrings, like they'd be stuffed.
Maybe that's why Agar did the calf. You know, he was water boy for the first couple of games, and then
Took it out of him, running up 200 metres every over.
So sorry, that was the third T20 that they had, and
T20.
Yeah,
okay.
England won 192 to 191.
And then they're about to do an ODI that got canned.
Yep.
Yes, right. And England, the number one team in T20 cricket at the moment, ahead of India in the ICC rankings.
Australia's number 2.
Yeah. Because I think if Australia won last night, they might have gone to number 1. So
There you go.
Didn't we finish
Crazy with India winning 9 in a row.
Yeah.
Always blows my mind how these ICC rankings work.
It's kind of hard because they don't play. Like some teams might have, we have a rest and like they don't play very much, and then say India and Australia will play a bunch of games, so that'll move their ranking. So if they're not playing international games, then it kind of drops them down because it's just, what have you done lately, kind of thing.
Might have to get Dr. Frank off The Simpsons to come in and explain it with the Glyvin and the mathematics.
That's it. So England have played 25 matches, Australia's played 22, and India's played 35.
okay.
So it might be
off
if
that.
India's played more matches and probably lost a few more. That's
Right. So they're on a heater now, not losing in 2020, but the rankings obviously take in results from 19 and
And I assume it must include who they play as well.
Yeah, there's always strength of opposition.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing Afghanistan and you're beating them 35 times, like it probably
With
doesn't.
Rashid. I mean, they haven't got much. A few other players.
Afghanistan's ranked 9th, so
Okay, we're the Yanks and the Canadians then.
Canadians 21.
There we go.
Just wondering, I don't
And
know.
34.
Imagine if, obviously the Indian population in the US assimilates pretty quickly. You'd think they'd have enough of a population there to get a little bit of interest in cricket. But
Well, we covered that story, I think, a week or two ago where I don't know what the association's called for American cricket, but they bought abandoned high school football stadium, and they're going to turn it into like the cricket academy there. So it's not massive, like it's in Texas in the middle of nowhere, and it's about $5,000 seating capacity. But they're planning to turn that into some sort of cricket ground so they can then start building that up. And you think again, baseball's a completely different sport, but imagine the amount of guys that kind of wash out of baseball. That there's definitely talent pool.
Transferable.
There's some transfer, like very different sport, but there's transferable, comparable stuff there that
I think that's
maybe
so
you can bring.
the Chappell brothers started in baseball before they went to cricket. So obviously pick up the hand-eye coordination skills and that kind of stuff.
As a junior, played with a fair few guys that came across from baseball, and that cross batch like they had, and their big arms in the field. Definitely some transferable skills. Probably just the bowling side of things. You don't really get any transfer from baseball. But there's been people that have tried. I think Warney and Tendulkar had a 3-game series in New York a couple of years ago, and they got good
Did they do like a world's first?
As like a world, yeah.
They did something like that to promote.
To promote it, and there were some weird rules, and then they were in baseball stadiums, and I think they got like 20,000 along the games, but
plenty of expats definitely over there.
Yeah,
You might be better off doing it in the south, like get some of the Caribbean, kind of people living in the States now.
Yeah, and well, again, going back to the West Indies, demise of West Indian cricket, a lot of that has been losing guys to other sports, namely, there's a few Jamaicans in the NFL, there's a few guys in the NBA, a lot of them play soccer.
Soccer's probably a big one, yeah.
Athletics, obviously, they've been dominant there. So.
Kill it in athletics. So, if there's not that financial reward for some of these guys that, come from a bit of poverty in some of the places there in the West Indies, you're obviously going to go to a place, go to a sport where you can make some money and support your family. So, a bit sad to see the old powerhouse sort of struggling in the longer formats of the game, but it's, the writing's been on the wall.
Still very competitive in the short form.
Yeah, still very good in the T20s. But they must be getting pretty close to losing their test.
I think it's hard. It's always hard when there are a collection of countries to get cooperation between all the different countries.
All the different boards and the politics that goes on. And
I think there's a lot of corruption over there.
Also for the players as well, you're not representing your country, you're representing a team, and they sing the West Indian national anthem. Oh, the West Indian anthem, I should say. It's a cricket anthem before the game, and they all just stand there. No one knows the words. I think Jason Holden knows the words because he's played enough, but they don't get to play that for that national pride, which is, I know, like our dad's generations would be pretty, sad to see them the way they are now, considering how unstoppable they were in the 80s and early 90s.
But the 80s, that was a long time ago now.
It was a bloody long time ago. It was back in my day. So that
anything else?
I think that covers,
kind of wraps it up.
Yeah. So the final story out of the cricket was the TV deal that we've been following for multiple weeks and months actually. So Channel 7, of course, still very much want their money back on the TV deal. They're very much pushing because they're thinking the Big Bash and the summer cricket's going to be pretty subpar. They haven't had any of these international games to start with. The Big Bash is not going to have any of the international stars, all the Australian test team involved in it. So they think the competition is going to be subpar. So they very much want out of this deal to the point where it sounds like they want completely out of the deal.
Right.
7, the story that came out during the week is they're not happy about all the Tassie games they got. So Tassie now has, Tasmania that is, has 10 games for the Big Bash, BBL, so Big Bash League.
Yeah. Canberra's got 6 before Christmas.
Yeah.
Because they're doing the hubs.
Yeah, doing hubs, exactly. So
Canberra and Tassie, obviously.
Yeah, nothing in
getting lots of games because of that.
Nothing in Perth, nothing in Melbourne.
But for
Brisbane.
Nothing in Brisbane.
Yeah. But for Channel 7, they've basically come out and said, it's not financially viable for us to send crews and do televise it down there because we've got to travel, we've got to put them up, we've got to get all the stuff there. We don't want to pay that money. Well, my point is that's probably your problem. You should have included that in your deal. But I think Cricket Australia offered them a 20% discount across the length of the deal because I can't remember the exact figures. I think it was like a 4-year deal, tens of billions of dollars. But I think they're at this point they're penny pinching. COVID's hit them pretty hard.
Yeah,
they're trying to save money. They're not happy with where Cricket Australia kind of is with the games that are going on, so they kind of want to get out. The problem, though, for, say, Cricket Australia is there's no alternative. Unless you go completely to Foxtel. So if you completely went to Foxtel, it's there's no free air games like you were talking about last week, Peps, getting on the high horse and getting stuck in about the rant is like, hey, we need free air games.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go completely Foxtel.
Don't want to go Rugby Union Avenue.
But then you look at Win, they've spent all their money. So they've got the tennis, they've got all the rugby league. Now they've got Rugby Union. Yeah. I don't think they really want to spend the extra money to then get cricket back. You think cricket would want to. Win would want cricket back at its natural home, but they just don't have the coin at the moment. So if 7 pulls out of this and they can't kind of agree to it, it kind of leaves cricket up in the air for free-to-air deals going forward.
So strange because the Big Bash League has been killing it in the ratings, for years.
Yeah.
And missing international players will affect it, but not that much. Like it's
Most teams are still getting their signings in. Like I know strikers are still getting Rashid Khan.
Yeah.
Alex Hales is still coming and play for the Thunder.
They just got a quarantine, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So,
I don't know what the go is with Channel 7.
I mean, obviously the whole schedule, like Cricket Australia has done what they can to still make a summer of cricket possible, and they've rejigged the schedule to make it happen.
Yeah.
I think the schedule's great. Like I think how they've planned it to, it's basically going to be over the holidays, over the summer, and it'll end before school holidays go back.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
And you might have a few older codgers out there that still don't feel comfortable going out and going to games. Maybe the TV, maybe they're missing out on a stellar summer in terms of TV.
I'm sure Punter, he usually calls a fair few of the BBL games.
Yeah.
He'd probably love being down in Tassie for 10 of them.
I'm sure he won't be minded.
And he does good commentary as well.
Yeah, he does. And I'm sure the Hobart golf courses will be happy that Punter's staying down there.
He'd go everywhere for free there.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
So,
funny how life works. The better you get at something, the less you have to pay for it. And people pay you to do it. It's weird.
But yeah, I think that 7 need to be a bit flexible here because obviously it's not a standard situation.
No.
And CA has done what they can to get a season of Big Bash and a season of international cricket happening.
Yep.
Still getting India still putting up all their best players. All the ones that are fit and healthy. Australia doing the same thing.
Yep.
So the standard of the games that we've seen so far has been high standard.
Yep.
All the ODIs. Everyone batting first was getting over 300.
Yep.
It's been good standard.
Yeah.
So the test games are going to be on Channel 7, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think
that's locked in.
So that's definitely locked in. I think they're probably having a look like you're talking the quality standard of those games happening, just not happening on 7
so
at the moment.
normally test match cricket happens first in the summer and then white ball cricket afterwards.
Traditionally,
And obviously this year CA has done what they've can to get
bring
the
it
season
forward.
happening and they've switched the order.
Yeah,
and that seems to be what
weird orders the last few years.
And that seems to be what's upset 7 because obviously they got the money for and the deal for the test match, which normally happens first, and it's not happening first this time.
Yeah.
So
It is a late start to the year for test match cricket. Oh, tell you what though, if I'm waking up Boxing Day and not being able to watch free-to-air test match cricket, there'll be incoming rant. Incoming rant. A lot of people have to travel. I'll be out in country New South Wales this year for Christmas, out in Temora. I don't think we've got Foxtel out there, mate. Oh, there'll be an absolute...
on the dial-up.
There'll be an absolute...
Yeah. Oh, KO on the phone. That'll be you.
Yeah, that'll be...
Just locked in the dunny on the
Be
phone.
on the roof holding it up, getting any semblance of reception.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it.
That pretty much wraps it up for our summer of cricket chat.
So another story we'll continue to follow on and see how it goes and see what happens. But yeah, there's a bit of to and fro between 7 and Cricket Australia at this point.
Pull your finger out, 7.
Yeah. So that'll do cricket for this week. So I think we'll jump in then to the other domestic sports in the NRL and AFL. We might start with a story in the NRL about Brett Naden. I think we covered a little bit that... did this happen last week or did it happen during the week? But anyway, so he's got suspended by the NRL after he tested positive for a recreational drug, which happened to be cocaine. He's gone into rehab since the grand final for alcohol-related problems.
Yep.
But the testing, there was some talk that maybe, hey, he'd taken this after the grand final. But there's also some theories that, hey, maybe he actually took it before the grand final.
Yeah.
And he had a little bit of a bump before he played the game. Not sure that probably gives you too much advantage. Maybe get you a little bit hyper and you're like a bit hyperactive. You're like, oh, let's go. But he did come off the bench in this game. So I kind of made the note here that maybe that's kind of the talk. So I'm thinking of maybe that's why he was not starting and he came off the bench in that game. Maybe a little bit of internal punishment, team punishment. They knew maybe some stuff was going on.
Yeah.
But hard to say. But then there's also a following question of, okay, he's got a bit of coke. How do you get that considering they're meant to be in the bubble? So he's not meant to have any outside contact before that. How do you get that on grand final night or before grand final. So how's that all been going on? So it's a bit of a story to follow. It's a bit unfortunate for him because he's been a bit of an up-and-coming player. He had a really good back end of the season for Panthers.
Good finisher.
Yeah, definitely. Bit unfortunate, of course, not to start the grand final, but maybe this is the reason why.
Possibly, and would obviously wish him all the best. He checked himself into rehab, I'm pretty sure.
Seems like he's got some problems there.
Before all of this had sort of come out, and there is some talk that because there's been a few revisions to WADA's code regarding recreational drug use.
Okay.
A lot of these guys, we're obviously, we're not toddlers. There's a lot of recreational drug use in the NRL and in a lot of sport. Does it really give you a competitive edge, or should the money be better invested in getting players healthy, as opposed to anabolic steroid or something like that, which obviously is proven to give you a professional edge rather than sort of that Saturday night high. So
I think the suspensions have definitely come down because from memory, I think.
Well,
so if I run through,
was Sandor?
No, he was peptides. But I know Wendell, Carmichael, Greg Bird, and Dave Taylor.
Yep.
Because those two were Gold Coast. That's what we were talking about the week before when
that's right.
Michael Gordon got done. They all did coke, and I think they all got 12 months from theirs. So I think that was the suspension. But for him, I don't think it's a 12-month suspension. It's more one of those things, like you say, it's recovery, rehab. Yeah. Yes, he's suspended at the moment. It's like he's going to have to prove I think he's got to prove that he's got to get reinstated very much like how the NFL does it, like prove that you've gone through your programs, you've gotten over what you got, and we'll relist you and you can play again.
Yeah.
But it's bit of a blow for him and of course for Penrith.
Yeah, for sure.
So under that WADA, so at the moment it's almost a 2-year ban. But yeah, Brent Naden could be one of the first athletes in the world to be assessed under the new rules, which brings it down to like a 1 month.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
ban on
very, very different.
Drugs.
Yeah, massive difference.
Yeah, because I think they're trying to get away from all, I don't want to say all the potheads, but very much all the regular weed smokers.
Well, in the NFL, that's a massive thing. Sorry to jump across the ditch, but a lot of the guys, do use marijuana cannabis in states where it's legal
instead of opioids. So instead of painkillers,
instead of opioids. So it's a little bit difficult when there's discrepancies in between the state law and the law of the game. But my opinion is obviously the players' welfare. When they're not getting proven advantage from the drugs that they're taking. Wish Brent Naden all the best with his recovery, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yep. So the next story kind of finishes off the story we were talking about last week, and I still can't say his last name.
Suiali, I'm going to go with.
Yeah, so Joseph Suiali is now officially a Rooster. So the deal's been done, and the Rabbits got an undisclosed transfer fee, but the talk is it could be as low as $50K, which isn't overly much. I didn't see any details of what the Roosters were offering Joseph, but if it's anything like the deals that Souths and Rugby Union were offering him, it's probably really good money.
Yep. Like as we discussed, a really promising guy for a guy that hasn't played any first grade yet.
Sounds like he's going to roll right into the Roosters. Starting, top 17.
Yep.
So maybe starts off the bench, but he's a big unit. Could maybe fill in the centre somewhere, but we'll see how they go with that.
For sure. Big Gareth Widdop, no new developments there. Cowboys just looking to try and get him pretty cheap. I saw on Instagram 300 to 350 grand, which would be a bit of a steal, I reckon.
Oh, for Gareth, compared to what some of the other playmakers and halves are getting, definitely. Compared to like what Ben Hunt's getting.
We'll get to that in a second.
Gareth Widdop was on 900 grand.
Yeah, when he was at the Dragons. Yeah.
Wow, so that's very cheap.
In the Super League as well.
Oh, in the Super League.
In Super League, he was on 900 grand.
So is that pounds or Australian dollars? Because this is
dollars.
Okay, because it's very different. Like if it goes from going 300K pounds to 300
mil.
Yeah, on a bad day.
Yeah. Well, 300K pounds for him, and then come to 300K Australian dollars. Very different.
Very different. Very different.
Like, it looks like the same number, but very different.
As I stated last week, massive Gareth Widdop fan. Would love to have him back out of the call of the north of England, back in the sunshine. All right, we'll put that one back in the books.
Yeah.
Speaking of players getting paid,
Yeah. So I think
It's not signed, is it?
I think because we talked about this last week, and I think this is a deal. It's either been offered or he signed this. So it's a 4-year, $2 million deal for Addo Carr, because we were talking about how he was visiting the Bulldogs last week, and then during the week this came out that I think that it was either offered or he signed this deal. And we weren't clear on the podcast last week about the whole Melbourne situation. So again, it came out. I think we were thinking that he'd been not allowed to release from his last year. Then we thought the Storm maybe had rescinded that and said, yeah, he's okay to go. But coming out with the news that, hey, this deal is going to go ahead.
the Storm?
No, with the Doggies. So
With
this
the Doggies.
is a 4-year deal with the Doggies. The Storm are still keeping him for this year. So he's not being released.
For 2021, that is.
So, for
Yeah.
2021, he'll play for Storm, and the 4-year deal for the Doggies starts the following year. But good money for him, $500K average a year. There's also some chat that he's of course a winger, but he may be looking to play some fullback.
Get some fullback money.
Yeah, because like you say, it's more the high potential. It's more the showpiece kind of position than a winger is. So he may be looking to play fullback for the Doggies, which could be interesting.
Yeah.
And he's got talent and ability, but yeah.
Yeah, does that make sense for him? For the type of game he plays?
From what I've seen, I don't know if he's got the... Yeah.
It's
It's hard.
if you compare
He's
him,
got that ball playing ability, coming through the ruck. You've obviously, I've never seen it.
Yeah,
so
it's hard to judge when you haven't seen it, isn't it?
so if you compare
would
him,
size be his only...
so my comparison is going to be to Pappenheisen. So let's look at the Storm fullback.
It's
Who's
smaller.
Yeah,
Smaller,
you wouldn't
so
think
all
size
roughly
would be.
same size.
Smaller, I'd reckon.
Yeah, so say he's smaller. Speed comparison, it's there. Like they have the same sort of athletic.
Endurance? Like, do you do more sprinting, less endurance on the wing?
Great
compared to
question,
fullback?
but maybe Addo Carr can, of course, gain that through training.
train for that, of course, yeah.
But the question that, like, ball playing, positional play, how he's good enough under the high ball on the wing, how's he under the high ball in the centres, how's his return game, and then like his support play, like he was pretty good through the middle. Can he do what Tedesco does, where he's always around the ball, he's always making meters, and like you say, then how does that endurance come into it? So a lot of ifs, but it's possible.
Who played fullback for the Dogs this year? That Meaney fella, Luke Meaney.
Who cares about the Bulldogs, pretty much?
No disrespect to Luke Meaney, but yeah, it would be very interesting to see the Fox wearing the number 1.
Yeah, it could be interesting. Well, he's a definitely talented athlete, so hopefully he can. If he does make the switch, it'd be interesting to see. May make those Bulldogs games actually watchable for a change.
Be ordinary this year.
So
Jack Johns.
Jack Johns. So he was with the Rabbits and he played 2 games, I think.
Yeah,
this year.
So
Very hard to break into the top 17 for the Rabbits, and they've especially in the second row or in the forward pack, got a good forward pack. But he signed and gone back to the Knights, the home, of course, of his dad and uncle, being Matty Johns and Andrew Johns.
yeah, and obviously known for their loyalty to the club back in the Super League days. Joey never disclosed what Super League were willing to pay him to come across. There's obviously been
Big dollars.
rumours it might have been 3, 4, 5 times the amount that he was earning at the Newcastle Knights that year, and obviously commended for staying there, and they went on to win the premiership in that 1997 year. So yeah, it will be interesting to see a very famous name back up in Newcastle wearing the red and blue.
And of course, his younger brother, I believe, Cooper, is still with the Storm.
Yeah, still with the Storm. Yeah. Just saw this week the top 5 highest paid players in the NRL for next year. DCE will remain up the top at just a tick over 1.3 mil. David Fafita on his new deal at the Titans. Also, they reckon they'll get between 1.25 and 1.3
When did he sign
mil.
that deal with the Titans? When did that happen?
Oh, a few months ago.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, big loss.
Yeah.
We must have skipped over it
big
because
loss
we were
for
talking
the
about
Broncos.
them last
No.
week.
It was during the season.
Oh,
It was during
sorry.
It was during the season.
I'm thinking the other
thinking-
Fafita. Sorry, my bad.
Wrong for feeders. So
The young David Fafita.
the young Fafita, he'll become the highest paid forward in the game.
Yeah, it was very hurt this year, so hopefully
Yeah.
the Titans haven't paid
Massive.
overs for him there.
Massive money considering Taumalolo's on 950, I think.
I think DCE's money's fair. He's probably
He's probably the premier halfback
yeah.
in the game. Is he the best player in the game? Who knows?
no.
Probably a guy that
maybe.
probably is earning a little bit more than he's worth. I'm sure he hears it a lot. Ben
your
Hunt,
best mate.
$1.2 million at the Dragons. He came off the bench a fair bit this year. They didn't know he's year 7.
A lot of money.
Is he a
off the bench.
9? Yeah, not really sure. I look, he cops a lot. He does really cop a lot. On his day, he's good. It's just about consistency, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, would love to see a massive 2021 out of Ben Hunt.
Yeah, well, he took Brisbane to the grand final and then checked in. Like he got his money.
Yeah.
After having a great season. So
Yeah.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Joe
comparison.
Flacco,
Yeah. But on his day, Ben Hunt can be elite, but he's not elite every other day.
That's true. Let's hope, as a Dragons fan, a nice consistent 2021 out of Ben Hunt.
Unlikely.
Kalen Ponga 1.1 and RTS 1.1, two of the better fullbacks in the game.
Fair.
I'd imagine Tedesco would be up around there too. Just wasn't in the graphic that I managed to see.
No.
Should we go down to the AFL?
Yeah, let's move on to the AFL and probably the Trelaw update. What's happening with their contract?
Well, the update is there is no update. So
Bloody hell.
both the club presidents, respectively, Eddie Maguire for the Magpies and Peter Gordon for the Bulldogs, have come out saying that each club has a good relationship with the other one, and they're working their best to make a deal happen for Trelaw, and that's what they're saying publicly. But obviously, it's taken their sweet time behind closed doors. So who knows what's been said there? But yeah, the update is still not at an agreement over who pays what. So as we mentioned, Trelaw's fine. He's getting his money. Yep. It's just whether it's coming, how much is coming from the Dogs, how much is coming from the Magpies. So really dragging out this one, actually. So
both clubs kicking their heels in the dirt.
Yeah.
AFL might step in here if they keep going like this. Might say, hey, boys, sort this out. Like, we need the contracts.
Yeah, not much more to say there. That
what was the deal with Trelaw? And I think there's some rumours about like his missus didn't get on with the other misses and the senior players didn't want him. Like,
I've heard an abundance of rumours, and to me they are just rumours.
This
So
is
I wouldn't want to comment further. But
very messy because Trelaw has actually said he wanted to stay at the Magpies.
Yeah.
He wanted to keep playing for them. He'd signed a 5-year deal to be at the Magpies.
Yeah.
There various things. They're worried that his partner is a professional netball player.
She's moving to Brisbane.
Got a contract to play for the Queensland netball team. So they were worried that wouldn't be able to cope with his partner in Brisbane and his young daughter in Brisbane, and so that his performance would suffer. Also, they probably signed a few guys to too bigger contracts and didn't do that. Didn't add up the numbers and worried about salaries and that kind of stuff. But very messy kind of divorce when Trelaw says he wanted to stay and he's been pushed out the door. So I'll look forward to when the Dogs play the Pies this year because that'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the Dogs looks like they're going to come out winners in this.
Oh, I think so. So obviously it just depends how much Collingwood are on the hook for in the contract. But because then the flip side, if the Doggies are on more, paying more money than they expected, then they're going to have salary cap trouble too.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
The reason I kind of asked about the WAGs and the bit like that, I saw that Nathan Buckley divorced his or splitting from his missus during the week as well.
Oh, okay.
They'd been together for 18 years, and I think they've got two kids under 10.
I didn't even know that. It'd be a big toll on a relationship being
I was just wondering maybe all the WAGs.
I think they're
a club.
They're coaching any sport.
The Maggies were in the grand final 2 years ago, and I think prelim maybe the year before that. But I reckon this is premiership window closing. This has been bad,
All the best out to the Buckleys.
Draft, I think,
exciting
coming up.
news. Yeah. The draft is on Wednesday, 9th of December. Obviously, no TAC Cup or
nothing belongs
national under 18 tournament.
No.
Between all the state teams this year. So basically, they've only players who were in South Australia or Western Australia could play for the SANFL or WAFL respectively. If you're in Victoria, the VFL, I don't think the VFL happened.
No, I don't think it did.
So very hard to evaluate the talent. Like, not many of them have played as 18-year-olds. You've got to evaluate what they did as 17-year-old.
Yeah, the year
and then
before.
what they do at the combine,
Yep.
which of course doesn't always translate.
Yeah.
You know, you see these guys who, you know, mega sprinters, mega jumpers, but then you see guys like Pendlebury, Bontempelli, who obviously aren't those, you know, mega sprint guys, but they just, on the footy field, they know where to position themselves. So,
Just ask the Jets about combine. You know.
That's right.
So the prospective number one pick is a guy by the name of Jamara Ugulhagen. I think I've probably butchered that.
Better attempt than I did.
Fair statement to make there, Sean.
He's a 195 centimetres, 90 kilo key forward out of the Oakley Chargers in Victoria. And so some, you know, 18-year-old kid, you don't want to put too bigger comparisons, but I've heard buddy comparisons, which is obviously huge.
Huge
So he's a young Indigenous boy.
Yep.
So obviously, lots of body shape comparisons with Buddy. So he's a Western Bulldogs Next Gen Academy player. So he'll be off to the Dogs. So they've, as part of the Trelaw deal as well, they got themselves some picks. And the way that these Next Gen Academy players work is any player, any team can bid for them. And then, so the Crows have got pick 1, North Melbourne at 2, and Sydney 3. So say one of them was to say, yep, we want Jamara, we're going for him. Say that happens by the Crows at picks 1. The Dogs, you know, and picks 1, I think it's worth 3,000 points or something like that.
Yep.
So the Dogs then have to package some of their picks that then add up
High
to
value. Yeah,
3,000 points
Right.
to then match, if they want to pick Jamara, which they will.
Yep.
If they want to do that, then they have to bundle their lower picks up, and then they can move up and they get the priority. So that's kind of, so Doggies have been kind of collecting second round, third round picks to then give them enough points to match early bids on Jamara.
Yeah, right. Be interesting
so-
to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, so see if any of those teams, Adelaide at 1, North at 2, or Sydney at 3, kind of push the Dogs' hand early.
Yep.
Other prospective number 1 picks, of course, held by the Adelaide Crows. I've seen a guy by the name of Elijah Hollins. He's a midfielder. So he's in Victoria now, but grew up a bit in SA. So he's a Crows fan. So Crows have obviously been in SA the past few years myself, quite aware of how the Crows have struggled to retain players. So obviously you're going to have a number 1 pick. You want that guy to hang around for as long as possible. So picking a guy who grew up supporting the Crows, even though he's not from Adelaide at the moment, you know, that might be a good strategy. Another one
To avoid a sort of Dangerfield or Jacobs type
Yep.
situation.
So then a bit of a bolter. Probably they won't go in this direction, but Riley Tilthorpe is a 201 centimetre forward / ruckman from West Adelaide. So being Adelaide based, but
it's a big boy for 18. He might get a
very
few
big
few
boy.
more centimetres
And then
on top of that.
Logan McDonald is a tall forward out of WA who might go very early in the draft. So there are a couple of the early picks. So it'll be interesting to see where the Crows go, because that Elijah Hollins, I should have mentioned, did his ACL in February. So still recovering from that. Hasn't been able to participate in all the combine stuff, and obviously didn't play this year. So draft. So it's interesting, some of the strategies, I should say, last kind of point, is some of the strategies that the various teams have employed. Some, like with the challenge this year to evaluate the talent without all those under 18 games, some teams have just seemed to like jump out of this draft, trade away some of their players, some of their picks, and go for the free agent players, and not really have too many picks in the first or second round this year.
Like
try and get some picks. Yeah, so Carlton traded away their first round pick. Obviously, Bombers got 3 in the top 10, so they're looking to invest heavily this year. I think Crows have got 4 in the top 25. So different strategies by different teams. Whether you trust your recruiters, you trust what the kids have done as 17-year-olds, or you just kind of bank it this year and then see what comes out 2021. So be an interesting draft, and interesting to then kind of see how the players kind of compare to other draft years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there'll be live coverage on Wednesday on Fox Footy.
No doubt Geelong will probably pick someone in the 40s or 60s who will be an absolute stud.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame future.
That's it.
As Geelong tend to do.
Funny, the difference between the AFL draft and the NFL draft, looking at guys when they're 17, 18 compared to 2021, like so much can happen in those. Like obviously they're different sports. You can be a jet AFL player at 19, whereas you're not going to do that in the NFL. But just in terms of
It's different body types as well.
Yeah, different body types, but in terms of mental, like the way guys develop mentally,
But you think of the different types of sports. Like it's a very flowing game versus a game that's more, say, based on like chess, where it has a lot more involved in the understanding of the mechanics and where you're meant to be doing. So there is more mental side of it. So it is very different.
Yeah, my thinking would be that it does seem to be a little bit harder, it seems to be a little bit more variable in the AFL. There seems to be a few more busts than you would see in the NFL. That's just a little thought off the top of my head.
I agree.
That segues us into the NFL, I think.
Well, the last domestic sport I wanted to cover was the rugby. So to finish off the last game of the Tri Nations.
How remiss of me to forget about that.
Who forgets about the rugby?
How could that possibly happen?
So James O'Connor is back from injury. He played in the first Bledisloe game, and I don't think he played since he got hurt. But he's back for this last game of the Tri Nation series. I think New Zealand's basically sewed it up unless Australia score 100 on Argentina today. So very unlikely. But so I think the talk throughout the week has been for this game, because it's the last international game, I think, for this year and for this, say, international season period. That's, let's go out with a bang. Let's have a really good showing. I think they're hoping to score a lot of good points on Argentina to hopefully then set them up for next year's season of international
Hopefully
rugby.
there's a try in this game compared to the 15-15
draw.
Snooze fest.
So, some tries in international rugby. That'd be nice to see.
And some tries in a close game, as we did see in, I suppose, one of those All Blacks Wallabies game. The rest has been...
They've got to get back to that. They should be doing a
hasn't
bit
it?
better against Argentina. So that game is tonight. I think coverage starts at 7:45.
Yep.
Beautiful.
So that will finish us up for domestic sports, and we'll go international and tackle the NFL. So I guess we'll start as usual with the week that was.
You want to take that away for us, Max?
Yep.
What was game?
Second.
Because we covered Thanksgiving.
We've already covered Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
So we're
Sunday.
going to go
Sunday.
straight to Sunday
Week
football.
was it week
Yeah.
12?
Week 12.
Week 12
12
just gone.
games.
Yep.
1 second.
Well, we could
Well, I
start,
suppose we can start off.
with the Falcons and the Raiders
Yep,
there.
had Falcons and Raiders.
Massive upset.
Massive win.
No one saw this coming.
Literally no one. The Raiders, we were saying, they've been the only team to really push the Chiefs.
They looked really good, yeah.
Yeah, they looked really good a week ago.
Considering the
And-
Falcons, I think, scored 9 points against the Saints.
Yeah, really
They
struggled.
did.
Yep.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did.
really struggled. And
No offense at all, and then
yeah.
Massive upset. I don't think many people got
I think
this
Raiders
one.
couldn't hold on to the ball. They had loads of
Carr
fumbles.
fumbled 3 times.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jacobs had one.
Yeah,
Um,
they're pretty bad in the turnovers.
Against a Falcons defense that's not really touted as a
Poo
top end
defense.
defense. So,
Not at all.
but they're playing hard for Raheem Morris, the interim coach. I think they've had
Former Bucks coach.
a decent record since he's stepped in. So he's putting his hat in the ring to.
What's their record now? Because they were 1-5 when they fired Quinn.
I think they're up to
they're
4 wins.
4 and 7.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
So he's
4 and 2.
3 and
3
2
3 and
as
2. That's not
interim
bad.
head coach.
Yeah, not bad at all.
So putting his hat in the ring
Quick
for
maths on the
the
Esky.
full time job next year. Yeah, no one saw that coming.
No, not at all.
we
Maybe
all-
it was a bit of a holdover from the Chiefs games the week before. Like they'd obviously gotten up. Maybe they, I don't want to say, the Super Bowl, like it was a game they'd really prepared for and they got into, they competed really, really hard with the Chiefs. And to lose, maybe they're just completely down and just out of sorts. And it kind of looked that way with the amount of turnovers they had.
Bit of a classic Raiders thing to do. We all thought maybe they were turning the corner. Yeah. Maybe this was new era Raiders.
8 wins this year.
And then this was kind of classic Raiders.
Classic Raiders. It's a Browns thing to do as well. To start talking them up. And
Well, it seems to be, it was more of the defense for the Falcons that really won them the game.
Yeah. Well, that's right. You'd lose 4 fumbles in a game. You're not going to win that game very often.
That's it.
correct.
Yeah. So next up we had Buffalo at home beating out the LA Chargers 27-17.
As expected.
Yeah, pretty much as expected. We all went Buffalo there.
Did you guys see the end to this game? It was
No.
like the Chargers cannot manage the final minute of a game, like dead set.
Oh, I did see this actually. Yeah, I did
Like
see this.
under Anthony Lynn, they have been terrible at the end of games. So Buffalo, of course, conceded a few weeks ago the Hail Murray to Murray and
Kyler Murray to DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Hopkins, yeah.
Same thing. So it wasn't for a touchdown, but I think it was a big fourth, or maybe third or fourth down conversion. 50-yard play, Hail Mary. So set the Chargers up inside the 10 with about a minute to go, down by 10. So they scored twice. Yep. And I can't even describe what happened next because they just ballsed it up so badly. I think
should show they ran the ball once and they got tackled.
Yeah.
They didn't have any timeouts.
Yeah.
So they could have.
Did they rush up and then try to? Did they spike it or they?
No, they didn't spike it. And then the final play they had set up in the shotgun. Suddenly Herbert decides, I'm going to sneak it and gets stopped short of the line. They've run the ball, so the game, the clock runs out, and it was just like they could have kicked a field goal to then put it to 1-score game and go for the onside kick. They should have thrown the ball. They should have never run it.
No, no timeouts. Yeah, absolute schmozzle.
Unfortunately for Chargers fans, which there aren't that many, but unfortunately for Chargers fans, this is an all too common occurrence at the last minute, 2 minute of a game. They just have no idea how to manage it.
Well, they do have young players on the offense, but you think they'd have some, like Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, etc., some veteran kind of guys. They definitely played good games. Like they should probably know better.
The OC head coach say spike it, throw it. Like they've got the Herbert's young, but he's only doing what he's told into his headset, right?
Exactly.
Like,
and it's hard for the guys like Keenan Allen. They don't have the coaches in their ear. They don't know what the call is. Pretty hard from your receiver spot to be yelling out, I don't know, spike the ball, change the call. Yeah,
and the game clock's probably a bit hard to see. Like
for sure, it's essentially just an absolute shit show.
They see the play clock counting down, like the 30 seconds.
Yeah, they'd be pretty helpless, I would think, compared to it all comes down to the
Herbert.
OC and Herbert, their communication.
Yeah, Bills to 8-3, leading the AFC East. So going nicely.
You'd think they would clinch that.
My only problem is I don't think they got their running game going enough in this game. I think Morris had 50 and Singletary had probably...
No, I think...
Zach Moss.
Moss. They had 172 on the ground.
Okay, so that's a bit better.
Moss had 59 and Devon had 11 carries for 82. So,
I couldn't remember.
And some from Josh Allen as well.
I thought Allen was a leading rusher in this for them.
Not in this one.
No, he did score that.
He did score a TD.
Which would mean he would have the most rushing fantasy points.
Yeah. I think he is still the leading rusher for that team, though.
I think so.
For the season.
Yes.
The season.
Yeah. They need to get Singletary and Moss more involved to ice games and to win more and going into the playoffs.
For sure.
So they've got to keep that up.
See some pretty nasty Ds in the...
Well, I think Joey Bosa got 3 sacks in this game. Good to see him back in action, been out for injury, obviously, I think the highest paid defensive player, and the way he was playing on the weekend, he was showing why. So I think he had 6 tackles for loss, like all up or something. He was a game wrecker.
Right.
What's the Chargers record?
But obviously, didn't get enough help from the rest of the team.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's crazy. So he had 9 tackles, 3 sacks, 6 for loss.
Yeah,
that's
good.
That is some kind of stat line.
That's JJ Watt.
That's dominant.
JJ Watt of about 2015.
Yes.
Is that all for that game?
Yeah. Well, what's the Chargers' overall record? Just to finish off.
So they're now 3-8.
Yeah. They're gone.
Fuck you, Peppy. We're ahead.
Yeah. So in terms of those rushing stats, so Singletary's on 483 for the season. Josh Allen's on 331, 311.
Okay.
Just behind.
Yeah.
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 All right.
But Josh Allen would be far ahead of Singletary for rushing touchdowns.
Probably,
I'd imagine.
yeah.
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 I think he's got about 6.
Yeah, he's got 6.
Yep.
Moss has got 3. Singletary's got 1.
There you
Okay.
go. There you go.
Next game.
What are we going
Yep.
to
So next up, we had the Bengals at home losing to the New York Giants, 17-19.
Tell you what, if anyone was following on the Esky boys for tips on this one, would have done well. We had Giants and unders. Sean said about 20-10, 19-17. That covers you there.
Yeah. Bengals were a bit closer, and I think they were
Yeah.
close late in this as well.
They got a 102-yard kick return or something, so that always helps when you're playing with your backup quarterback.
Daniel Jones got injured, I think,
Hamstring.
late
Yeah.
fourth. Yeah, hamstring.
Doing
Doing too many
I
running.
think third
Late
quarter,
third,
and
yeah.
he tried to come back, and then he couldn't go. Like, you could see when he was a few times he tried to throw the ball and like drive off his legs, and he couldn't.
Yeah. Colt McCoy was their
came in.
backup.
Yeah, closed the game, didn't turn the ball over. Nothing exciting out of his stat line. Be interesting to see if Danny Dimes is good to go for this week.
So they said it wasn't as bad as expected, and so he may play this week. He may not. So
Be a bit of a game time
He
decision.
needs to play because what are the Giants now? 4-7.
4-7.
and
So-
division leading
Yes.
4-7.
Yeah.
So they need to keep winning
So
games.
they've got the head to head against the football team.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Washington's the next one. So
Keeps it, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's close,
Yeah,
so
it's nice
the-
and close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's going to win that division with 6 wins, I reckon.
Yeah.
I had a look through the week of all their upcoming schedules. I can't see anyone getting to 7 wins.
Oh my goodness.
I think 6 wins.
So gross, isn't it?
Yeah, I think 6 wins is going to win that division.
Imagine the Giants go 6-10, go win the Super Bowl.
The Giants have got the Seahawks next week.
yeah.
Don't see him winning
Yeah.
that.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Would you maybe rest Danny for a week?
I don't know. It depends on the extent of his injury. The Seahawks haven't done too much rushing the passer or anything.
The problem is Washington. The Giants don't want to go a game down from Washington, so they probably got to. Even though it is the Seahawks and you've 90% chance of losing, there's still a chance. Any given Sunday.
That's why they play the games.
Very true.
That's right.
No one, as we said, we all thought Raiders was going to roll the Falcons, and that didn't play out.
Yeah, we got a couple badly wrong this week. I think most people did. A few big upsets, but
Yeah.
Next one.
Yep. So next one we had Indianapolis at home losing to Tennessee Titans 26-45.
Sean got this one. Titans were his smoky. Sort of complete reverse of what we saw 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Was what I
Same
was
game.
what I was talking about. With you learn the most in defeat. So obviously they knew that 2 weeks ago that hey, we're going to play these guys again, try some things and see how we go, and then also let's study that and learn from it. And they came back and good game plan. Let's just give it to Henry and let him just smash him in the mouth, and hopefully we can get some passes to AJ Brown.
All hail the king. I got kinged this week
got
in
kinged?
fantasy. He had 27 carries, 178 on the ground, and 3 scores. So,
Smoked him.
oh,
For I think the Colts are number 1 defense at the moment.
they
they're up
were
there.
before that game.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
don't know if they still are, but
Well, definitely against the pass and total.
Yeah. They'll be close to number
total
1
yards.
overall.
Yeah, I think the
based on that.
Bucks are the best against the run.
Yeah,
they might be. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense because they all just pass on them.
Well, yeah, because Kansas City just passed on it.
Yeah.
But on the king, went over 5,000 rush yards for his career.
How many years he's been in the league?
I think this
Fourth, isn't it?
fifth or sixth, I reckon.
Did he start a
I'll
bit
have
slow?
a look at that one.
And then he's got 1,257 yards on the season. So it's a bit of interesting. 5 games to go. Can he get to 2K? So I think he's a bit over about 117 yards per game average at the moment. Would need 148 yards per game on the stretch.
He may
which-
sneak a few 200 games if he's lucky. He's had a few. but
Not
it's hard.
impossible.
Not impossible,
but
It's
not
still hard.
probable.
no,
but
not probable. If you got it,
But they feed him. They feed him.
47 a game. My concern is that he gets rested in the
The last.
last week of the,
Yeah.
And
of the year.
I mean, Titans 8-3. I think Colts 7-4 now. So they're not massively ahead in their
That is true.
division, so they're probably going to be playing meaningful games in week 17.
Yeah.
Some might not have that opportunity to rest him.
Probably depends 100% on what seed they want and who they want to play, say, week 1 in the playoffs.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So Derrick Henry is in his 5th season in the NFL. His first 2 years at Tennessee, he didn't start much.
No, they had DeMarco Murray for a season.
Yep.
Yeah. Brought him over from Eagles, I think,
And
at that
then,
point.
he went Cowboys to Eagles to Titans, did he? Yeah.
I think that sounds about
A
right.
bit of a carousel. So his first 2 seasons, he had 490 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, 744, 5 rushing touchdowns. Not huge numbers, but definitely not bad as a backup.
No.
And then since then, he's
blown
gone.
up.
Yeah, 1,060 yards for 12 touchdowns, 1,500-ish for 16.
And the rushing title last year.
And the
didn't
rushing
he?
title last year, and already this year 1257
Yeah.
and
So since
12.
On track for the
Tannehill kind of took over, he's
Yeah,
been a beast.
It has
Right.
been absolutely unbelievable. I think he
Hasn't been facing 10 men in the box. So
just been an absolute workhorse. I think he's got
Yeah.
like 50 more carries than Dalvin Cook, who might be the second
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
carries in the NFL. Pretty crazy. Who's got 2,000 yard rushing season before?
so-
Obviously, Eric Dickerson
Yep.
has the record at about 2097. Monks, can you just look up best
Well,
rushing
did
seasons?
did CJ break that?
No,
Because I know Terrell Davis got 2K.
Yes.
I think Emmett Smith got
Jamal Lewis.
Yeah.
might have
AP,
got that.
did AP in his
No, AP.
MVP?
1990, like he
I don't think AP ever got there. I think
Yeah.
he went close. Oh no, he
in
did.
2012.
Yeah, his
AP got there.
MVP season.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Monks, you got the stats there. You read them out. Let's put a little bit of speculation in, and I'd like to see how many guys have actually done it. It must be about 5 or 6.
It's
Yeah.
hard.
So there's 7. So
Okay.
we had OJ back in 1973.
Shoot.
Yep.
So that would have been on a 14-game season.
14
Yeah.
game. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah, right.
that's production.
Yeah, isn't
If
it?
you look at his stats overall, he's killed it compared to
He
anyone
killed
else.
it.
He's
Hey,
Moving on.
let's look at OJ as the football player. That is incredible back in 1973 in a 14-game season.
for the Buffalo as well.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
it.
they were very good back.
Yes.
No, that was the 90s, was it? When they made,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
made
90s.
4 Super Bowls in a row and won none
late,
of them.
late
Yes.
80s, early 90s was
Yeah.
that 4 in a row.
Yes.
That might have been a fair bit after the time the juice was running them up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was Jim Kelly. Anyway,
So he did sneak in with 2003.
ooh, sneaky.
Yeah. So after that,
So he would have held this record then for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 11 years later, 1984, we had Eric Dickinson,
Yep.
LA Rams.
LA Rams.
Yep. After that, we had
How many did he have?
he had 12,105.
Okay.
So
Hang on.
Over
Yeah.
2000.
sorry,
Keep going.
2,000. 2,000.
Okay. I thought you might be looking at a career there.
Yeah.
12,000. That's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
hit.
Even at 2,100, that's the most out of anyone on the list.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dickinson's
So
got the
did
record.
have, see, I thought he had that record. So that's from 1984.
Yeah.
So he's got, that's a 36-year-old record.
Yeah, and still in that 14-game season as well.
Ridiculous.
Oh, no, that was 16.
What's
Oh,
16?
that
It was
was must have
16.
been the early stages of 16 games.
Yeah, yeah. So after that, 1997, Barry Sanders had
Barry.
course,
Yeah.
yeah.
Should have picked Barry.
2,053 for the season. Then Terrell Davis, 1998
Yep.
at 2008. And then Jamal Lewis, 2003 at 2,066.
Yep.
Okay.
Chris Johnson,
CJ 2K.
09 for 2006. And then in 2012, AP at 2,097.
Yeah. So it wasn't. So AP had second most in a season then
Yep.
in ED
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah, right.
All
Was
right.
that, what is he the comeback player of the year as well? Was
Yeah,
that after
yeah.
his ACL?
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
right. They fed him after his ACL.
Yeah.
And
So one MVP. I think last non-QB to win it.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So the King might be putting himself in the race for the MVP, but
There's a couple
Well,
guys.
if he gets to 2K,
Yeah,
if he gets to 2K.
say he, even if he doesn't get there, because his touchdown rate is incredible. He's got 12 on the.
I think Dalvin's got a few
think
more,
Dalvin
but
might
but he's
have-
second in the league.
yeah, but say
Did LT win the MVP for his 26?
you'd hope so.
Oh, when he got 31 touchdowns or something, I think so.
You'd
Yeah,
hope so. And same with Sean Alexander that year when he went bananas.
yeah.
But Derrick Henry, look,
he was.
it'd be in the conversation if he could get 22 touch. Like say he scores,
Yeah.
couple of game from here on in.
And in his season, in his career, I should say, he usually gets better as the season goes on.
Finishes really good.
December would be his strongest
Yeah.
month overall. So if that
In the conversation.
tracks,
So as a comparison,
Their
LT
schedule's
one to
not
watch.
bad as well. Their schedule's pretty good.
Yeah.
So they got Browns next week, Jaguars, Lions, Packers, and then Texans.
okay.
There you go.
LT scored 31 touchdowns for his MVP season.
Freakish.
That is ridiculous.
It's almost to a game. Wow.
Yeah.
I'll check it. What was Adrian Peterson's?
2012
2012
was his
was his-
MVP
yeah.
season.
Mhm.
He had 12 touchdowns.
He doesn't catch the ball very much. So
No.
No.
Speaking of AP, do you want to move on to his former team, the next game on the schedule?
Nice
One of
segue.
his former teams,
Nice segue.
the Vikings versus Panthers.
Yep.
Just before you do, Derek Henry, $26 to win the MVP.
From our friends at Sportsbet.
Our friends
Are
at Sportsbet, still waiting
Are
for
they
that email.
official friends or just
unofficial
friends? at
Unofficial
Sportsbet?
friends. No,
Yeah.
just unofficial friends.
Yeah.
We're standing by the phone, ready and waiting for the call. Lads.
Yeah. So we had Vikings at home beating out Carolina Panthers 28-27.
I think you
This
said
is-
this is a flip of a coin.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really
And-
showed it to be it.
And I think Panthers it was like a 54-yarder or something field goal as time expired, missed.
Yeah.
Something. So he went down to the wire. Like I think Panthers were actually up most of the game, and Vikings had a big last quarter to kind of come back and get the win because Panthers went up early on two like back-to-back plays, fumble recoveries by touchdowns. Jeremy Chin,
Yeah.
rookie safety for the Panthers. I think I heard during the game they were trying to go back in the record books to see if anyone had ever got any defensive player had ever got scores on back-to-back snaps, and they would rapidly searching the record books and not finding a whole lot.
They
so.
were struggling to find guys that had got 2 fumble returns in a game, let alone on consecutive snaps.
Fumbles would be hard.
Yeah, so pretty incredible. That might be one of those long-standing records there for
Yeah.
the rookie Chin.
So that
Just-
might put him into contention for
we've been
defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, we've been speaking about
He's
that.
been flying around the field for him,
Yeah.
making plenty of tackles.
Yeah.
Get a couple of scores and put his name up there.
He's got, is that it? He might have had a defensive touchdown before that as well. He might
not
have
sure.
3 for the year.
Sure.
Might be, it's one to keep an eye on.
A rookie on the other side of the field had a big game as well.
Justin Jefferson.
Just to interrupt to finish my AP point. So he scored 12 touchdowns with 1 receiving touchdown, so 13 in his MVP season. In 2009, he actually scored 18, which led the league
Okay.
at the position, but of course didn't win MVP. So touchdowns maybe not a great measure of
Indicator.
MVP status.
Maybe a weak quarterback year that year. It's like a lot of it's you got to just pick the best guy, I guess.
Yep.
It's hard to compare stats from year to year, but that is surprising. Only 13 touchdowns in the year.
Anyway, back to my boy Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, keeps killing it for you.
Doing the gritty dance on the TV.
gritty. Oh, that is going absolute viral.
We'll have to get the cameras set up on the Esky so we can do some gritties in here.
Yeah, you can see
See how ugly mugs dancing.
you see 2 white boys, a Wog boy and a Chinese boy.
Jimmy the Jet.
Yeah, trying to do that dance.
Absolutely no rhythm.
Oh God, no! I don't think there would be any kind of resemblance to the actual gritty dance. So he goes now to 52 receptions, 918. So he's going to crack the 1,000. You'd think.
Yeah,
Barring
I think
an
they're
injury.
saying he's on track for say 80 and 1,300 and
Maybe 10
say
touchdowns.
maybe 10. Yeah,
He's got 6 already. He was the 22nd pick in a very deep wide receiving class.
Very deep.
We'll just quickly run through them. Henry Ruggs was the first receiver taken by the Raiders at
overdrafted,
12.
Yep.
He has been injured a little bit, and
which is why he was overdrafted.
But that's what can happen with those. Apart from Tyreek Hill, that's what seems to happen with some of these burner
that was
guys.
always
Yeah,
that was the
guys.
worry before the draft was hamstring injuries, and after the draft at the Raiders he's had hamstring.
they seem to be just going 2 different ways. Like Tyreek Hill, obviously,
Yeah.
was a 5th rounder out of West Alabama,
But-
just picked on speed and athleticism.
Different body type, though.
essentially.
Ruggs is
Yeah,
taller and leaner, so
True. Well,
more
but
likely for.
John Ross was a smaller
Yeah.
guy as well, picked on his amazing
But he's still lean compared
40,
to Hill.
40 time. And,
Hill's a
and
nugget.
hasn't done too much.
John Russell was more like an athletic sprinter, and that's why he's done nothing.
Who'd want to be a scout and have the scrutiny? Yeah, it's very difficult. Jerry Judy's actually plugging along quite nicely over at the Broncos.
Yeah,
there.
considering they had no quarterback this week.
True.
And the quarterback play hasn't been overly great for Denver this
and
year,
we will get to that
unfortunately.
in a sec. But he's had 47 receptions, 589 yards, 2 touchdowns, plugging along nicely. CD Lamb obviously had that awesome grab last week, which we spoke about.
And Lamb's kind of floating between a 2 and a 3 as well.
And probably hasn't been helped since Dak went down.
No.
I've seen
So he's been doing
a bit
pretty
of dip
And
in
still
his
has
production.
53, 650 yards, 4 touchdowns. Handy stat line there. Jalen Reagor probably been the most disappointing of the first round draft picks.
Who's his quarterback?
Carson Wentz and injury decimated offensive line.
This is what made me think of it because I was watching the Eagles game, which was the Monday night. Anyway, we'll get to that. But I was thinking, Rager was, and they were talking to Eagles, they've got no talent, Wentz to throw to. I was like, they could have taken Jefferson.
Yeah.
They could have had Jefferson. But they, so the Vikings very happy that they've got him.
Yeah, and a really nice 1-2 punch there with Adam Thielen. Maybe that is also some of Jefferson's success. Is that
Thielen was out in this game because he had COVID.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that till later on. I was like, well, I don't care. I got 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, beautiful. And the other first round pick was the 49ers 25th pick, Brandon Ayuk. He's also gone pretty good. 446 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's missed a couple games through injury. But Jefferson obviously looking like the pick of the bunch by far. And
you can see, you look at that list, that's why Aaron Rodgers at the Pack was having he's crying to himself because they pick a fucking quarterback instead of these guys.
Yeah, so all of those receivers would have been off the board when
Not Ayuk.
No.
Everyone else. I think Love was taken straight after Jefferson, I think.
right.
Did they trade back?
They traded up
They
to
traded
get him.
up.
They traded up to
that's
get
right.
him.
Yeah.
But it was only like 1 or 2 spots though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think
Not
they had
much.
about pick 29 or 30. So they traded up a fair few.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, remember Rodgers sat on the bench to watch a guy called Favre play and learn.
True. Well,
Time will tell.
if you're going to trade, if they're going to trade up though, why would you trade up for a quarterback that's not going to play for 3 or 4 years? When you're probably a receiver or 2 away from Super Bowl.
That can slot in. That could slot straight in.
Yep.
Yeah. Agreed. That's a nice little segue on our first round receivers from that Vikings-Panthers game. What did we have next there, Monks?
Yep. So moving on, we had New England Patriots at home beating the Arizona Cardinals 20-17.
So I mentioned before, there's a couple big upsets which absolutely no one picked. This would have been one of them.
Yep.
Steve?
Probably much to Steamer's dismay.
Yeah, I think
draft pick analysis.
No. Look, let's all. I think Patriots are playing the Chargers this week, so if we could all tip Chargers lads, I'd appreciate that.
Nice kiss of death.
Yeah. No, interesting game because both Kyler and Cam had picks taken that were like battered at the defensive line, and then taken a few times. Arizona got into Patriots territory and couldn't convert. I think just before halftime, Pats had a big goal line stand. Essentially, last play of the half was a 3rd or 4th down and stopped them and time expired. So that proved pivotal in a 3-point game in the end.
What I saw late was I think Arizona were getting on a bit of a roll, but then Zane Gonzalez missed
a field goal.
Missed the tying field goal.
And then it was about 3rd and 13. Cam takes off. He gets the first down, and then Isaiah Simmons came off and hit him like helmet to helmet.
Yep.
So
Got the pass
13 yard. So big 3rd down conversion. Then get the 15-yarder. I think it was it was over 50 yard field goal for Falk to hit as time expired. I think Pat's really helped out. Like Cam, I don't even think he got over 100 yards passing or something, but they got a big kick return and a big punt return. So really helped out by the special teams. I think they actually should have had a punt return touchdown, but some knob did a blindside block that was totally unnecessary to take the score off the board. But help Patriots. I think they've 4-1 or 4-2 at home actually. So
4-2 at home.
Yeah, haven't been very good on the road. But yeah. No one saw this coming, but we'll take W and kiss the death of Chargers this week.
So on the day, Cam was 9 of 18, 84 yards, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks.
Yeah. So, yeah,
That
you look at that and you go, how did they win?
How in
And
the
you go,
hell?
yep,
Yeah.
special teams,
Yeah.
a few penalties, a big stop by the defense before
Missed field goals.
halftime, and missed field goal.
Yeah.
So, Cardinals probably should have won, but shoulda, woulda, coulda.
What do you think they do? Do you think they keep starting Cam, or do you think they try someone else to see how they go?
I think
Seeing
they
you got
still-
Stidham still sitting there.
I think
Cam's
they
not the
keep
future.
going with Cam.
Yeah, I
but
think
yeah,
that's-
I mean, it's just going to be in 5 wins on the season now. So you're just kind of going to be in that, like, probably between picks 10 and 20 in the draft. You're not going to make the
Yeah.
playoffs,
Mm.
but you're not going to have a top 10 pick either. So just in a really weird middle of the pack.
But do you
kind
want to
of-
play
at the
Cam next year? Is the question.
I was gonna say because he's on a 1-year contract, was it?
Yeah, it was 1 year.
Yeah.
So
You get Winston.
probably hasn't proven himself. I mean, if Aaron's upset at the Packers because they, give him.
I was having a bit of look at this. I think Stafford and Wentz are probably the only ones that may get moved, but both of them have big dead money, so they have to be trades.
Yeah.
I think they both have 50 plus in dead cap money, so you can't. They're not going to release them.
Anyone spending that on Wednesday got rocks.
Yeah.
What was our next game there? Toilet bowl?
Yep. So after that, yeah, I suppose we call it toilet bowl. So we had New York Jets at home losing to Miami Dolphins 3-20.
All tip Miami.
Yeah,
They-
Miami win.
We've been praising their defense. Only gave it 3 points, obviously, to the Jets, but
Yeah.
Maybe,
Well, we should probably praise the Jets as well. Or Adam Gaze, he's doing his job. They keep losing, so
maybe the one thing to say, I think,
Consistency is key.
yeah, exactly.
for Miami and their defense, Xavier Howard up to 7 INTs on the season.
Oh, yeah, right.
So maybe throwing his name in there for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah, definitely been a shutdown corner on a very improved Miami defense.
7 picks is unreal with
Yeah.
yeah.
There's still 5 games to go, so
you could get 10.
that's right. Gilly got it last year with 6.
Yep,
He
yep.
returned to the house, so I don't
Yep.
think Xavier's had any touchdowns. But
Did he have one? Because the Dolphins have been scoring a fair few.
Yeah, I think a lot of them
touchdowns on
fumble
defense.
recoveries though. That'd be an interesting
But yeah.
one to look up.
really, he'd be in the top contenders for Defensive Players of the Year. So, yeah, probably that's all that needs to be said about that game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's move on.
I'd move on.
Yep. So after that, we had Jacksonville Jaguars at home losing to Cleveland Browns 25-27.
Yeah. Whoever wrote the notes wrote it backwards.
Yeah, lucky was looking at the NFL one.
Because I was like, I'm pretty sure.
That's why he's on the job.
That's right.
Facts, man.
He's the best in the business.
Yeah. But Cleveland, I think, go to 8-3 now.
That's correct.
But
Yeah.
they're still letting Jags score 25 on you and being only 2 points away. I just don't think Cleveland's for real.
I think their
They've got a
schedule
great
gets a
record.
bit harder from this point on.
Yeah, but
little bit.
that'll be clear to just kind of show where they're at. But I don't.
Yeah.
They're going to play playoffs, but I don't think they go very far.
I think they, because obviously now they're 8-3, so the worst they can go is 8-8,
Yeah.
and I think that'd be their equal best record since 2007 or something.
Yeah,
They haven't had a winning season since 2007. So
They're,
improvement.
they're
And
partying over there in
still
Ohio.
under first year coach there.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, you can only beat who's in front of you, right? But
Yeah. Interesting because last year when they signed OBJ and Jarvis Landry and Kareem Hunt,
well, he had a big game, Jarvis.
Yeah.
he went
Well,
huge.
they've been better since OBJ's been out. So
that's true. Well, yeah, and
Been
Jarvis
feeding
is good.
Chubb and Hunt,
That
haven't
too.
they? So
yeah, Chubb.
It's not a bad
Chubb
game
hungry.
plan. Pound the Barack, and if you need to convert, you get Landry in slot. Like,
Yeah.
that helps.
Yeah. For Jacksonville as well, Mike Lennon's did pretty good. So 20 off 35 for 235 and 2 touchdowns.
For a Jags quarterback, that's pretty good.
Not bad.
Yeah, should get the start this week, you'd think.
Yeah.
But they did fire their GM in, is it Jim Cadwell?
Caldwell?
Caldwell.
Although,
Yeah.
Mm,
So 10 losses in a row now for Jags. So
yeah.
Not looking good down
They're
there.
going
Looking
to
to next season.
they're competing with the Jets for the number one. At the
yeah,
moment.
obviously stuffed up week 1 by winning that game. So
That's why Minshew's on the bench.
that's a-
You would have went to Minshew that, win that,
Next game.
Minshew
Yeah.
that.
So moving on, we had Denver Broncos at home.
Wait, you got to say Denver Broncos getting fucked.
I was wondering how quickly that would come in.
I was going to try to be diplomatic about it. But yeah, they got absolutely rammed by the New Orleans Saints, losing 3-31 points.
This could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
I think Sean Payton did us a solid and ran a bunch of the bunch in this start of this game. We almost snuck into halftime at 14-0, and at the end it was 17-0 at halftime. And of course, the Saints ran away with it. The defense was stuffed by the end of the game. What annoys me about this is the NFL then removed bloody Ravens game an extra day for them.
Yes.
But then it was just like, oh, fuck these Bronco team. They got to play with no fucking quarterback. It's just like, though the Ravens, I think, what are they? They're 6-5 at the moment.
Now they are.
Yeah.
Denver, they were 4-6. Maybe if they snuck this game, highly unlikely. They're still kind of competing in the AFC at the moment. But after this, not very much anymore.
I mean,
But
Denver's
no
defense.
help from NFL.
The Denver's defense was playing hard in this game. Like
Yeah.
first half, they had their back to the wall for sure.
I think they
but
got 4 3-and-outs in the first.
Yeah, because
first 4 possessions.
Like-
They were playing well.
Mason couldn't pass the ball.
no, very ugly
Covered
game
my-
to watch if
Yeah.
you like
Yeah.
the West Coast, high passing offense.
Yeah, for sure.
You weren't seeing any of that in this game.
And then Sean Payton realized, we can just run over this Denver defense.
Well, Denver defense
Well,
by
they
that
had
point was stuffed.
A few times he had short fields. Yeah.
Yeah, got a few turnovers. Hilton
that's
completed one pass and threw 2 picks.
Very quick game because of all the rushing.
2
that
hours
happened,
and
so.
45 minutes, I think, was
Yeah,
the
it
total
was like
time.
the other games that started at the same time were just ending the third quarter, and this
Yeah.
game was in the books. Yeah, can we just go back to that Kendall Hinton
Mm-hmm.
stat line? 1 completion, 9 attempts, 13 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. I was saying that's like a Tuggeranong Tornadoes game in shit weather down at Greenway.
So
back in
more
the day.
more picks than completions.
More picks than completions.
The interesting-
It's happened before in the NFL.
Yeah.
I was saying,
Yeah.
that
The
had to
interesting-
go a long way back.
97 with the Chargers, I think it was.
yeah.
And I think the teams that have won, so Denver, I think Tebow had won with a 2-8. One of his games was the lowest completion win rate. But that Hinton completion was a screen, and I think it was only the 9th screen that Denver had completed for the season. They're the lowest screen team of them all. So
Yeah, right. Maybe that's something that they could improve on.
definitely. So it's very young team, of course, and they'll have a lock back this week to play Kansas City in the prime time afternoon slot. But
Hopefully, don't get too routed in that. We'll have a look at
well,
that
from
in our
from
preview.
from this, they've now blackboard Bortles as the practice squad quarterback, I believe.
okay,
They're now going to limit his time in the facility so this doesn't happen again.
Right.
Okay.
So he'll train less and do less face-to-face meetings, be in the facility less. So if it does happen again, they'll have a quarterback to go. But you look at the Ravens, who had almost a third of their team and personnel with COVID, and we got one fucking quarterback, and it's like, we're not moving your game. We're going to move this game. We're going to move it 3 times. So yes,
Well,
that's my point of Denver got fucked by the NFL in this process.
Right in the ass.
That's it. Well, I think
Not bitter at all.
No.
not at all. And I suppose that comes back to that whole significant game thing that the NFL is trying to pull over with COVID. And
Well, if they'd
delaying
won
games,
this
all
game,
that
they'd be
sort of
5-6, and they're almost 500 at that point.
Do you know if did the Broncos actually try and ask the NFL to move the game? Because I know the Ravens actually asked the NFL because
I would have thought that.
because the entire Ravens facility was shut down for a few days. So they're like, can you move it so we can at least have 1 day of practice before the game?
I would have thought they'd definitely be asking. They asked if their assistant strength coach could play quarterback for them.
So
Or even if you moved it back a day, hey, we can bring in a veteran off the street, let him quarantine, do his test before he comes into our bubble, and then we play him in the next game.
Romo out of the commentary box.
Yeah, as we're talking, there's plenty of old timers on the street you could pull in and just play one game for us. But anyway,
Moving on.
So yeah, moving on from that rant.
Rant over.
Yeah, one of the crappiest games ever to a
it was
pretty good game.
by far the worst game I have ever watched.
Yeah, so pretty interesting game here. So we had LA Rams at home losing to San Fran 20-23 in a probably pretty pivotal divisional game.
Especially for the Rams.
Yeah.
I think Shanahan's got the wood over the Rams in his time there as the 49ers coach, because they've swept them this season now.
Yeah, true.
And so looks like they play
Rams
a
really
match
need
up
to
against the
win this.
Rams really well.
I think they got a benefit with having Debo back this week. They fed him a heap.
Certainly.
So it helps having actually a receiving option versus none.
Yeah,
Yep.
Debo had 11 catches for 133 yards. Pretty big inclusion back for them. And yeah, we all tipped this the wrong way.
The 49ers defense was obviously elite last year.
Yep.
Very hurt this year, of course.
Very hurt this year, but
Yeah.
was strong against the Rams on the weekend.
I think they're starting to get
They-
healthy too.
Yeah,
so it helps.
yep. So I think Sherman was back for the first time since week one. That helped them. I think their first round pick, Kinlaw, got a defensive touchdown.
Yeah, he sure did.
So Rams couldn't get anything going on offense. The defense pulled them back into it. I think AD got a forced fumble that then the Rams scored on defense that kind of kick-started them a bit in the second half to kind of make the Rams look like they might have run away with it, but 49ers held on in the end. So, I think the Rams were in front in the division, lose that, and now they're in second place. So in that very competitive NFC West. And even the 49ers are now at 5 and 6, still in the hunt for wild cards.
Pretty
So
crazy. Yeah, could happen.
anything more to
Crazy
say there?
division.
Yeah.
No, I think we covered it.
Yeah.
Go to the next one.
So moving on, so we had Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home losing to the Kansas City Chiefs 24-27.
I can't believe the Bucks actually got back into this and they're
Yeah.
close in the end. Like considering what the score was at half time.
Oh, yeah.
The Chiefs should have put 40 up here. You would have thought the way that they started. Obviously, Tyreek Hill and
My
Patty
goodness.
Mahomes were
Just murdered them in the first quarter.
in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Tyreek had 7 catches for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter.
Maybe they realised it's like, maybe we should double cover. Or
Yeah,
triple
single
cover.
coverage.
Yeah,
Oh, my
not,
goodness.
Not going so good. Mahomes had 360 passing yards in the first half. The fact that they only scored 27 is a bit of a testament to the Bucks' defense in the second half. Tyreek Hill eclipsed Clinton Portis with the highest ever fantasy total in a game, 57.9 points, if you don't mind.
See the deuces go up. It's too late.
He's backflipping into
Oh,
the end
man.
zone. He is a freak. They got a lot of freaks on that team.
Yeah.
He's one of them. And
It's unreal.
they just run some crazy plays. There was a play where Travis Kelce was trying to pass the ball to Mahomes on an end around.
Did they get silly in this maybe? Because you got to be worried if letting the Bucks back into this. Like,
Possibly they might have wanted to get a few more points on the board. I think the second half, obviously I haven't watched every play of the game. I think maybe they were just trying to play it a little bit safer, hand the ball off, and then the Bucks did come back at them. Yeah.
I mean, they can do that sometimes. The Chiefs, they can switch off a bit when they're not really being pressed, and then it kind of came to the Bucks are getting back in this. Turn it on for the last drive.
Yep.
Get the couple of first downs. Wind down the clock. Get the W. Okay. Yeah, they seem to be able to switch on, switch off sometimes. Obviously, not always ideal, but they keep getting wins.
And
so.
they seem to switch on when they need to.
Yeah, and when they switch on, it's electric, isn't it? Like, and obviously the reason Tyreek wasn't get double teamed at the start is because you got to worry about Kelce and Watkins and CEH and Hardman, and you can't double everyone.
So many weapons, yeah.
And obviously they decided maybe at the start of the game we're going to double Kelce, and then so it was all right. Tyreek's 1-on-1. See how that goes for you.
Here goes the cheater. He finished with, let this sink in, 13 receptions, 269 yards, 3 touchdowns, and it could have been a lot worse than that. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Craziness.
Averaging 20 yards a catch is insane.
Yep.
Well, what's happening in Tampa land though? They're hot and cold, as we were saying. Of course, cold in this one to start. Seems to be a bit of drama, maybe a little bit of infighting between Tom Brady and Bruce Arians, the head coach. So
A little bit.
what's going on there, James?
I mean, again, I always go back to their defense. Their secondaries hasn't always been up to scratch.
Young and average.
Yeah, but on the offensive side of the ball, I think it's just scheming. They're not scheming right. So I was reading that at the moment, Brady's at 66% passing plays, no play actions, which is the highest ever in his career.
Yeah, okay.
So they're just not utilising the running game enough to sort of...
What did Ronald Jones get in this?
And he,
Not much.
he had 9 carries for 66 yards.
so good production.
It's okay, yeah.
But that's not enough touches, though.
But-
He'd not give it.
Or they fell
Fournette
behind.
got a
Rapidly,
bunch.
yeah.
They fell behind quickly
True.
early.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I think that's probably it. Like, if their defense isn't helping them out, they're going to have to air the ball out to try and put some points up. But
I mean, Brady's been a short to intermediate passer to guys like Welker and Gronkowski and
yeah, all of
those
those
kind of
routes
stuff. Edelman too.
Yeah.
But obviously, they're trying to push the ball downfield with all those weapons they've got. And I think I heard these, very lowly ranked for like passes beyond 20 air yards or something, because that's just not been his game style for past,
Couple of years, definitely.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And probably doesn't have the arm strength he had 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
He's got like one completion or something over
yeah.
25.
So that's where obviously you're not matching up. And that's Arian's style, right?
Yeah,
When
when you
to
go back
push the
to-
ball
to
downfield,
last season.
take deep shots.
yeah, you just have to look at last season with Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Most passing yards in the league.
Yeah.
But also had 30 interceptions.
gunslinger.
Yeah, and that's just, I guess, Arian's game plan is just
Yeah.
get it down the
maybe
field.
it's
High risk, high reward.
not matching up the player you've got with the
With the-
scheme
yeah,
that you want to
system.
run. You're
Yeah.
not a good fit there. So one's got to
Yeah.
be go. It's got to go one way or the other, right? Either
That's
the player's got to
Yeah.
adapt to the scheme, or you've got to adapt the scheme to the player.
Yeah, and I mentioned it a few weeks ago as well. Like, Tampa Bay is one of the most heavily blitzed teams in the league as well. So, not having that time,
That's the
to, I guess,
blueprint.
let players
And
develop
that's-
for Brady.
And that's where, in the past with the Patriots, you go to those short passes with Edelman and Welker and Gronkowski against the blitz, because it's they've only got to get 5 yards downfield
exactly
against the blitz. That's fine. You
Yeah.
can do that. You're trying to get Evans, Brown, these
Yeah.
guys downfield 15 yards against the blitz. Much harder to.
harder.
You'd
Yeah.
think you'd see Godwin and Brown come into it a bit more and try to take that. You think as a team, that's the conversation they need to have.
Yeah,
Like, hey, we're getting blitzed.
More
shit out of them.
screens, more crossing
Yeah,
routes.
let's,
Yeah.
let's,
kind of,
let's
yeah.
go the short
Quicker
stuff,
ways,
and then instead of trying to
That's
go
it.
deep to Evans.
Well, I mean, hopefully there is a little bit of a shift in the game. So Gronkowski led our receiving for 6 receptions, 106 yards, and Godwin had 8 receptions for 97 yards. So they are going to
Yeah.
your tight end slot. It's
Yeah.
just a little bit too little, too late.
And obviously gave up a big lead that they then had to chase against the best team in football.
Yeah, I'm not unhappy about the loss.
Oh,
I think-
go down by 3 points.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
They get the bye this week
I
to
think
figure
that's
it out,
tough
don't
too.
they? So
Yeah,
Love to see Tampa have one of those real on games when they should have a wild card spot in the playoffs. I'd love to see them really be on.
yeah, no, definitely.
Go to the next one, Jimmy.
Yep. So after that, we had Green Bay Packers at home beating out Chicago Bears 41-25.
Mitch T is crap. Bears are shit. Let's move on to the next one.
Pack's pretty good.
pack off offense was
Pack is
very efficient in the first half,
Rodgers,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
they were just driving up and
On a
down the
good
field,
on a
up
good
and-
Yeah,
Bears
made the Bears
defense.
defense look
On a
bad.
good Bears
They
defense.
really missed the Keenan
but-
Nix.
Yeah, they did.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rodgers, he's not quite Mahomes this year, but he's probably the
Peppy, how do you feel about Aaron Jones? AJ Jones?
Yeah.
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones. How do you feel about him losing snaps and carries to Jamal Williams at the moment?
Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. You got to do what's best for the team. He's sort of Aaron Jones became the go-to workhorse guy last year. The year before that, they were doing sort of more similar to what they're going this year. Maybe that was just something to do with Jamal Williams' health last year. He did miss a few games here.
I think
and
well,
there.
I mean, they-
AJ's Aaron Jones came into this a bit banged up as well. and
They,
he's had
they
missed a
were
few games
up
too.
big early as well. So
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you can protect him and you don't need to give him a heap of carries,
Yeah, and
Yeah, why
don't
not?
underestimate Jamal Williams. He's a pretty decent back for a number 2 guy
Yeah.
in the NFL.
Yeah.
They haven't really even unleashed their second round draft pick in AJ Dillon, who's the big botzing, short line, goal to go type situation.
Well, it did give me some comfort again to sweep the Mongrels for yet another year.
Sweep
So
the Mongrels, and it looks like the Mongrels are cooked for our fantasy.
yeah, I think
league
you're
this
done.
year.
You're 5-7.
Yeah,
So
I'm pretty much
I think
done.
you need
It needs
eight wins to get in.
Some kind of statistical miracle for me to
right.
go through. I think
I'll,
Michael to my left is probably gone.
I'll see you there in the poo playoffs.
As long as we just stay ahead of the taco and don't get the wooden spoon.
I mean, as long as you start active players,
Yeah, yeah.
which Taco seems to struggle to do. So
Yet still complain as to why he's losing.
Shout out to Outback WA if you're listening, Joel the Ranklin Ridge. Hope you're doing well in the head out there, mate.
what's the next
Yeah.
game, James?
Yep, so that wrapped up Sunday. So moving on to the Monday games, we had Philadelphia at home losing to Seattle 17-23.
I thought Seattle would do better in this game
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
watching like Philadelphia were bad in this game. Like they weren't very
they
good.
like their defense balled out. I think apart from
True.
like they left Slay on an island against DK.
Didn't work
DK
out
got
too
him
well.
a couple of times, but their defensive line, like Fletcher Cox, was
Yeah.
going hard for him. Their linebackers were flying around.
Oh, I forgot
So-
the name of the other bloke.
Their defense
The
was
defensive
playing.
end got, I think, 2 sacks. Not
Barnett.
Cox. Barnett, that's
Derek
it.
Yeah,
Barnett.
yeah, they
Had
got
good
a couple
game
of fourth down stops in the first quarter. So, yeah, Philly's defense was balling out. Their offense is just horrendous.
Yeah, Hurts, I think, got 2 snaps in this
Yeah,
after
we
we
were
talked about
speculating he
yeah.
might, and there's again more chat
But
in
it
the
was-
NFL this week but it's not Wentz's
It seemed,
fault.
but it seemed no rhyme or reason when they gave. I think they gave Hurts a 2nd down and 10 snap.
Yeah.
He did a little pass like on a 5-yard out, and then they took him out. And you go,
Yeah.
like, what was
They
the
brought
point
him
of
in the
that?
next series,
Like,
Yeah, give him a series.
that's right. If you're going to play him
Yeah.
for more than just one snap at a time. Like,
Yeah, you'd think so. I don't know if it's just to get his hands on the ball in the NFL, but yeah, who knows? It's a bit of a disaster over there on the offensive side.
Yeah,
in
that's
Philly.
right.
And their offensive line's decimated, so they can only do so much when you're not getting protected that well. I think Zach Ertz is close to being back for
He's
him.
back this week.
Yeah.
He's off IR, I believe.
He's off IR.
But whether they roll him, put him
Yeah,
in
I
there or
think
not.
I think they had a few drops as well. Alshon Jeffrey wasn't very good for
that was
them.
his first game back as
Yeah.
well from
Yeah.
injury, and he didn't play overly well. The
It-
tight
yeah.
ends are what carried the team.
Yeah, that Dallas Goddard, he's a good.
Yeah,
Good tight end.
Richard Rogers, who played for the Pack the previous year,
Yeah.
also pretty handy as well.
So I heard before the game they were saying, people making comparisons between DK and Megatron.
Yeah.
And Jim Swartz, who's Philly's defensive coordinator, was like, "Oh, no, I was at Detroit when Megatron was there. You got nothing on him." So apparently that fired up DK a bit, and then he went bananas on him. So maybe not the best strategy to fire up old
Bit of
DK.
fire in the belly.
Yeah, I think Darius Slay was getting into him as well, saying he's not good enough. And of course, the Eagles skipped him; they didn't pick him.
Well, everyone
and
skipped
dropped-
him.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. We're actually, we're talking about the number one receivers.
From this year's draft,
The depth
previous
of this, the depth of this year's draft. Sorry, getting my words tangled there.
Yeah.
The DK unreal
Pick
last year.
60, I think.
Yeah, real late second rounder.
Yeah,
So
And-
they're all
and
worried
now,
about it.
now leading the league in
Yep.
receiving yards this year.
killing it.
Yeah. So yeah, he was.
I had a bit of a fight with Darius Slay, getting a bit wordy and
Yeah.
early.
Yeah.
So I was hoping he wasn't going to get ejected because he had his number.
Yeah.
But yeah, he obviously just got into it. I think Slay kind of crumpled under the pressure
Oh,
of having to cover DK.
He's an
He's a
Adonis.
unit,
Try and cover
He's
him
on another
one-on-one,
level.
like just the size, the speed combination,
We don't want to get too homoerotic on the Esky here, but we are, I think we're all in agreement. Is one of the best rigs getting around in
Yeah.
professional sports.
Definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. So
Apart
yeah, he
from the
was.
haircut, that's real. eh?
Changes every week. At least it's interesting.
Rodman-esque.
Rodman-esque.
He tries to match it with, I think, with the jerseys as well a few times,
yeah,
depending what they're
Yeah, I
playing.
think
in.
he was sporting the fluoro green a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he had
To
the
match the
purple,
fluid
bit of
green.
purple going this week.
Yeah, so he was 177 off 10 for the day.
Yeah.
Pretty day there for DK.
Yeah.
That's all our games, yeah?
Final game.
So
The
running.
game that
Yep.
Thanksgiving
Rounding out for the week.
Yeah,
Game.
yeah.
Thanksgiving the following
Yeah.
week.
Apologies.
Week 12.5 or early week 13. So we had Pittsburgh Steelers at home beating out Baltimore Ravens 19-14.
Wednesday
night
football.
Wednesday day football, yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about how we thought Steelers might smoke the Ravens in this, and
very close. I
RG3 didn't pass over well, but he ran well, but did his hamstring in back to IR. So I'm not sure. We were talking about whether he might be, this would be his game to showcase him for possible contract. Getting
not
hurt.
happen.
Yeah. Did not happen. Got hurt. They were competitive in this game. I think. Well, they only lost by 2 points or 3 points.
Five. 19-14. Yeah.
19-14.
Yeah, I think they got an easy touchdown late. McSorley to Hollywood Brown, who kind of they just
deep ball. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So into the
Good for Hollywood Brown because he
was doing nothing otherwise.
very quiet.
Just one kind of bad coverage play for the Steelers defense on a otherwise that steel curtain. I think we mentioned Xavier Howard before. I think another guy who will compete with him for defensive player of the year, TJ Watt, up to 11 sacks. I think leads the league in that stat, leads the league in tackles for loss. Yeah. He's just a beast.
Problem for him though, he's lost his running mate, and Bud Dupree, who's done his ACL and is probably done for the year.
So sad.
Sad to hear that for Bud. Hopefully his recovery goes well. TJ's unstoppable, isn't he?
And, Steelers now 11-0, and so Ravens 6-5. So Ravens can't repeat as division champs. Now too far behind the Steelers. So 11-0 for Steelers. So still in that number one seed in the AFC.
The Ravens really need to get going if they want to play playoffs as well.
Big chance that they could miss out now.
Yep.
Where they're behind the Browns at the moment.
Yep. 2 games behind the Browns.
Yeah.
So that wraps up the week that was. A few stories before we preview the games. So the 49ers have had a little bit of change of venue because the county they're in has banned all contact sports for the next 3 weeks, starting last week.
Lefties.
So of course they can't play in their stadium, Levi Stadium, so they'll have to go play elsewhere. I'm not sure if they've actually found places.
State Farm.
There you go. Yes.
At the Cardinals' home ground.
Yep.
So I think they have 2 home games there and an away game against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Well, So obviously Cardinals doing them a solid.
Yeah, big time.
Saw some nice back and forth between them on their social media pages. 49ers saying, we love your colour scheme kind of thing. And, the kind of, Step Brothers, did we just become best friends? But Cardinals saying, don't touch anything, don't move anything.
That's good out of the social media teams, a bit of banter. It'll be so friendly on the field when they meet.
Yes, of course, division rivals. But, Cardinals doing the 49ers as solid.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice to see in this crazy year.
So following on from that, there's a bit of news of suspensions in relation to PEDs, as performance-enhancing drugs, that is. Will Fuller was the first one to come out, and he's been suspended for 6 weeks, which will end his season. He was having a pretty good season.
He was,
And also in a contract year for him, so his contract's
his
up.
best season by far.
Yeah, because he's healthy is probably the main thing.
That's right. Not having a guy called Hopkins there probably helps him
Yes.
as well. I think he made a statement saying that he says he's innocent. He trusted a doctor, and his doctor gave him something that.
So the question is, did he have Bradley Roby have the same doctor? Because on the same day, a couple of hours later, he also was suspended the same amount of time for PEDs as well.
Big loss for the Texans, isn't it? It's your best receiver in the best
corner. Yep.
Gone for the rest of the season.
Not that they were going to compete for playoffs.
No, but just in terms of winning football games, that really does hurt. Who'd be next man up there in?
For corner, no idea.
Well,
for receiver,
Cooks.
Brandon Cooks.
But they let go of Kenny Stills.
Yeah,
last week we mentioned that, and now
and Randall Cobb is the other one, and he's hurt at the moment.
Wow.
So maybe have to sheepishly.
Kiki Kuti, I think.
So it's him and Cook. That's what's left.
So maybe have to sheepishly give Kenny a call and say sorry,
hey,
mate.
Mate, do you want to come back?
You want to pay someone after?
I don't think anyone's picked up Kenny Stills.
No, I haven't heard anything about that. Brandon Cook's pretty good receiver. Was highly touted coming over.
And had his concussion troubles in the last year or so, but I think he's had some good production this year because hopefully stays healthy now and steps into the number one role.
And whoever's got him in fantasy might be licking their lips a little bit.
So my final story before we look at the next games was I'm not sure whether it was a Texas game or not, but it was a high school game. So
in Texas.
It was in Texas.
it was in
yeah.
Texas. I'm not sure if you boys have seen this or
I've
not,
seen it, yeah.
but it was So a defensive lineman. He was the defensive player of the year for their region the last 2 years. Big unit. He gets ejected from this game for roughing the passer, and then for I can't remember what the second one was. It was a professional foul essentially. So they eject him. He's already on the sideline, and when they announced that hey, he's getting ejected, he comes from the sideline out to the head ref. Lays him out. Then, of course, a few of his coaches, a few of his players pull him away. A few of the other teams like, what the fuck's going on? What's happening?
Yeah.
So the ref goes down. I think he was treated or looked at for concussions.
Yeah,
and
looked up for concussions.
They put him in an ambulance and they had to take him away. The defensive player was then taken away by police officers.
Crazy.
Yep.
Spent the night in jail.
For assault.
For assault, yep. And I think his bond was
10 grand.
10 grand.
Yep.
So I think they managed to post that. But for him, like highly touted, highly guy coming out of high school looking at college recruitment drive at the moment, like he'd be... Yeah, you don't want to be hitting referees doing jail time or having to, spend a day in county jail. So pretty bad story for him, and a bit of a knucklehead kind of player, I would say.
Mental
snap, big time. It's pretty bad. He runs 50 yards to go get him as well. So.
Just dumb.
Very dumb.
I'm just having a look at this kid.
He's huge. He's he's a defensive lineman. Say
high schools, got like half a sleeve.
You got to remember these high schoolers 17 or 18, so that's before they go into the college system. But massive unit, 6'3", 120 kind of kilos.
He's a 58-year-old ref.
Yes.
So he's all in his pads and helmet and everything, and hitting a guy who's 58 and defenseless.
Scroll down.
He got a massive...
Scroll down, hit that.
Like, look at how much pace he has here when he hits him.
So, the ref then announces it's from here. They see him coming out and then smack. Lays him out. Oh, it's bad.
Yeah, that's real bad.
I was like, hey, what's going on? Okay. And then, of course, you see the copper come across the side. Of course, they've got coppers at these games, as you'd expect.
At a high school game.
Yeah, at a high school game. Well, you know what the high schools in the US are like. So.
America, jeez.
But they escort him away, and yes, he's been charged with assault. We'll see how that goes.
And I have a big question mark next to him now, getting recruited.
Oh, definitely.
Do you add that to your highlight tape?
I was about to say it's all on tape. He doesn't have much of a argument to make in his defence, does he?
That's right.
It'd be good behaviour and et cetera, and try to get.
That's right. As we've said, people change from 18 to 21.
Yeah, brain snap.
Yeah.
You'd want to hope so, yeah.
Righto.
Maybe a bit of roid rage.
Highly speculative now.
All right. This week's games. Let's get stuck in.
Week 13.
Week 13.
So no Thursday night games?
Because that was originally Cowboys-Ravens, which then the Ravens got
that's now
moved about
Tuesday night.
times.
Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll slide straight into Sunday. So first up, we've got New Orleans at Atlanta.
We'd think New Orleans what they did to Atlanta 2 weeks ago, but Atlanta has definitely played much better in the following week.
And,
so maybe it'll be a bit closer.
Also, a very different situation. That was Breeze available in that
no,
game?
that was
Tyson's first start.
First game.
Yeah.
My apologies. I'll tell you
You'd
what.
still want to back the Saints.
I think so. Their defense.
I think it's a bit closer though.
Yeah.
I think it'll be close this one. Maybe a 35 to
I
20-ish
think
game.
Julio and Todd Gurley are questionable going into this. So
Gurley, of course, didn't play last week, and they did better. So
I mean, are Falcons consistent? Can they do what they did to the Raiders again now to the Saints? I think we back the Saints.
I'd back
this
the
one.
Saints in this one.
But on an 8-game winning streak,
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd
back them again.
But it could be a little bit closer than...
I think it'll be a better game than it was.
Is it
2 weeks ago.
in New Orleans or Atlanta?
Atlanta.
It's Atlanta, yeah.
Okay.
They played the last one in
Yeah.
New Orleans.
So, and the Saints are number one in points allowed for defense. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sneaky good defense, I think.
Yeah.
Defensive line, very good.
Total match points there, 46.5. Might be tempted to take the overs there.
Possibly. If Falcons can score points,
Yeah,
which we thought they would in the first game but didn't.
I reckon that.
Yeah.
I reckon that's. Yeah,
There's
that's
a reason.
on. That's on.
There's
Yeah.
a reason why they're
'Cause what
they're pretty
was
good.
46? That'd be
23,
23, 24.
I think this game could be 35-20. That's where I'm going.
So you're taking
Okay,
that
so
over-
So
overs
I
and
think
same
overs is
goes.
doable if the Falcons score points.
I'll
Let's
go
hope
with
they don't fall apart like they did.
I'll go with you
2
there.
weeks
I'll
ago.
go overs
Yeah.
and Saints too.
And I suppose we can see that they can score points.
They can score
Yep, yep.
points.
Yeah.
They should score points.
They should.
Next one.
Yep. So after that, we've got Detroit at Chicago.
Does anyone care?
Yeah. Man.
Not really. We should have a little look at it, I guess.
Wait. Lions fired their head coach last week?
Before the
yes.
bye.
Yep.
At Patricia.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they'll win this game.
Yeah, I think the Bears have had the wood over them recently, but yeah, that is a bit of a trend that
That
we've
is the
seen
trend.
happen.
So-
So,
Cleared house in
all right.
there. It was head coach and GM.
Yeah, head coach and GM.
Yeah.
So they cleared it all out.
all right, Lions to win.
Yeah.
Lions to win.
The Lions is a sneaky to win this one.
$2 44 to win there. The Lions 44.
You think the Bears defense would do enough to keep the Bears in it and keep it close, and they'd
Yep.
probably sneak this. But let's go with Lions. Sneak this with that head coach momentum.
I really like the unders there. It's a low line at 44.
Oh, definitely.
But
Go
I
unders.
really like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah. So after that, we've got Cleveland at Tennessee.
So this is where Cleveland's schedule now gets a bit tougher for them.
Yep.
So
Up there with the game of the round. Both teams 8-3.
You say that, but I think Titans are going to do this easy, and Browns are going to be found wanting. That's my thoughts.
Well, the
how do the Titans rush defense go? Because obviously both teams like to rush
really
the ball,
good, really
have
good.
strong backfields with Chubb and Hunt on one side and King Henry on the other.
Yeah, their line's
So-
not as good as it was last year because they lost Casey because
Casey.
he's over at Denver now.
Yep.
So their line's not as impressive, and their linebacking crew is not the greatest. But I still think Titans are going to win this.
I like the Titans as well, but I don't think they'll do it easy. I think it'll be close.
Bookies tend to agree with you, Sean. Titans $1.40. Cleveland $2.95.
See, Titans are a bit up and down for me.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
That's short money.
But I just don't think the Browns are for real. I think they're finally going to be found out. That's where I'm at.
Again, just
Yeah.
going off yards, Browns' defense is better against the run than Titans are.
Okay. I mean, maybe again that's a factor of who they've played,
Very
but
much so,
yeah.
I wouldn't touch this game, in other words. If I'm betting on it, I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah.
I think
as I said, I like the
use this as
Titans,
an
but-
indicator for future ones.
What about King Henry's rushing line is 100.5 yards, if you don't mind.
Jeez, that's decent. isn't
Very,
it?
very high line. Mind you, we did say he's averaging 111.
I mean, and you know he's good for 20 plus carries as well. They'll
You
fit
feel
in,
like if he
so-
doesn't get hurt,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
then he'd be close there.
Where is this game, by the way?
That's in
Tennessee.
Nashville.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Next one.
So moving on, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals at Miami Dolphins.
There's a little toilety, but you got to think the Dolphins are 7-4.
Yeah, I'd go Dolphins in this.
Is because Fitz played for him last week and Tua sat out with his thumb injury. Do we know if Tua's...
I think the news is Tua.
Not that I think it
healthy-
makes a difference, but...
No. If Tua's healthy, he plays, is what.
Yeah,
And he's going to play the rest of the year if he's healthy.
And
but I haven't
obviously-
heard anything recently.
Bengals still running with their backup quarterback.
Allen, yes.
Yep.
So maybe Xavier a chance for an 8th pick or something.
Maybe.
But yeah, I think Finns to win that one.
I think
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
back Finns.
I'll go Finns, and
Stay away from
they're
it.
a short $1.20 to win that in Miami.
So as of
Thanks
yesterday,
to our unofficial friends. Sportsbet.
I don't know if we can get sued. We don't have any money. Might need to have a chat with our legal department here on the Esky and see if we can keep saying that. But anyways,
Yeah.
We're just promoting their
And-
bets.
well, that can't be. Yeah,
Any promotion's good promotion,
that's
right?
what I
Isn't
was.
it?
Yeah, we haven't slandered them.
We're doing it for
too much.
free.
Yeah, that's
Unless it's
come
from
on.
us Muppets, but
That's right. Yeah.
so Tua as of yesterday is still questionable.
okay.
Questionable.
Yep.
Yeah, throwing hand. Yeah, they
Which,
might rest.
who
him
knows
for a
what
week.
that means?
Yeah,
Yeah.
who knows what question?
Who knows?
Next one.
So moving on, we've got Jacksonville at Minnesota.
Minnesota. Next one.
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Next one, we've got Las Vegas at New York Jets.
Vegas. Next one.
Yeah.
No question about that.
The Jets and Jags are going to be by far and
They're 1 and
away
2.
the
Like,
worst two teams, aren't
Yeah.
it's just who's going to finish 1 and 2.
So after that, we've got Indianapolis at Houston.
Used to be better, but
I like the Colts, yeah.
I still think
Yeah,
you're back to
same.
Colts.
Especially with
I guess-
Fuller and Roby
Yeah,
now
going
out.
back
True.
to the
Yep.
receiving call for Houston. Yeah.
Yeah, Colts.
Colts for a little bit of a bounce back.
I wouldn't touch the line in a lot of these games at the moment.
Yeah, hard to pick.
Yeah. So after that, we have got LA Rams at Arizona Cardinals.
Oh.
It's a big
This is
game.
a big game.
Yeah, after a few of the
Yeah.
last games, were, a bit not interesting.
Yeah,
kind
both of
thing,
them
but
losing last week too.
This game's interesting. This one's both obviously in the playoff hunt.
In a very tight NFC West.
Yeah, I'm going to back
Yeah.
my boy Kyler Murray on this one. I don't like their chances though going against the
Is
Rams
it
defense.
Where is the game? Sorry,
Arizona.
In Arizona.
Arizona.
And the Cardinals actually totaled 20 outsiders at home here against the Rams.
Rams have a better defense and
Have they
Sure.
matched? Is this their first matchup for the year or second matchup?
Well, that's a good
Let me
question.
double check.
I can't remember them playing.
I think it's second and Rams won the first one.
So I'll D Hop against Ramsey and
Yeah, that'd be
premium matchup
Yeah.
in this one to watch.
Yeah, no, they haven't played.
They haven't
Yeah.
played.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Ignore what I was saying.
So, this is huge. They're going to have to play each other again after that.
Yep.
And as we spoke about
They seem to
before,
have done that with the schedule as well.
Yeah,
They
there's
have
a lot of weird.
Yeah.
really close divisional games
Mm-hmm.
after week 10. Like it's a lot of
Yeah.
teams are doing that.
Yeah.
What
They-
about in the
I'll
short
go the Rams. I think the Rams, but I'm not with a whole lot of confidence.
Yeah, I'm not confident either. I'll go the Rams to bounce back from their loss against the 49ers last week. Here on NFL.com, Sean McVay era, Rams are 6-0 against the Cardinals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Rams are your safe bet, but I'm just backing my boy.
Yeah, I think it's a very close game.
Yeah, I
be
wouldn't be throwing any money at
Yeah.
this, and I'm
So-
genuinely interested in.
And the fact that it's
this
in
game.
the desert works in the
Yeah.
Cardinals' favour. If it was at SoFi, I'd be much more confident.
For sure.
If it means anything, the Cardinals are 1-1 with the Seahawks in two fairly competitive games.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, that'll be one to watch.
It'd be a good close
It's a
competitive.
8 a.m. slot here for us in Australia.
definitely.
Why is this not the prime time afternoon game when you've got Denver playing Kansas?
Well, I suppose they do pick him a fair. That's picked ages in advance
Yeah,
in the NFL.
but the
obviously
amount of schedule redoing they've been doing,
right.
you're like,
they could do some rescheduling
Yeah.
for the
pick some.
It's not
prime time.
COVID related. It's just for a viewership.
A little bit. So speaking of Seattle, they're at home for the next game against the New York Giants.
You'd think they win that.
They should be.
comfortably.
Seahawks. Their defense, I think, obviously they're against the Eagles' offense, which is rubbish, but their defense is starting to come together, which was the weakness of the team. So
Yeah,
they're
really
they're
bad.
becoming a well-rounded team now.
Yeah.
Seahawks should win this.
If Daniel
easy.
Jones is out as well, they win this easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think
think
so.
So we should say the commendable that Seahawks are the only team that haven't had a player get COVID.
Yeah.
So,
That was a big stat out of the
right.
week. Yeah, the only
did
team
not know
with
that.
no positive COVID test.
COVID doesn't like the rain up there. And
no, yeah, mate.
Yeah.
Hasn't reached the Pacific
Reach Buffalo
Northwest.
though.
Maybe Sasquatch gets him up there. Let's keep it to football. Thanks, Peps. What have we got in the next game there, Monkey?
So after that, we've got Green Bay at home to the Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles.
Should be back
Pack
Should
it
be packed
easy.
comfortably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
by 20.
From what I've seen.
Yeah.
Yep. So after that, we've got New England Patriots at LA Chargers.
Can we all say Chargers?
Chargers.
Oh, guys.
No doubt about
I
it.
mean,
I'm going to pick the Patriots.
No doubt about it. Kiss of death.
This would be a close game, I reckon. Both
Yeah.
teams
Yeah.
kind of in the similar sort of spots. Where is it?
It's in
in-
out west.
Yep.
Yep.
SoFi
Yep,
Stadium.
so far.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to touch this game with a 10-foot pole, really.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I think New England have been strong at home, so I don't have loads of confidence them going out west. I think the obviously New England's defense hasn't been what it was last year. You'd probably expect
Herbert to score some touchdowns.
Gilmore to run with Keenan Allen most of the day, but Chargers got a good air attack, and I think they'll post some yards, and obviously we already discussed that Patriots do not have a good air attack.
No,
So
quite the contrary.
well, I think that's they need Patriots to win. They need help from the defense and the special teams.
Yep.
Is that a formula you can follow every week? But mate, get the Chargers to the last minute of the game and they'll balls it up. So if we're in it with 59 to go, I'm extremely confident. 59 gone. Sorry.
For the Chargers, I think that game plan is get out early and then force Patriots to chase.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, they should win this.
Yeah, I agree.
Bookies tend to agree. Chargers $1.80, New England $2.05.
It really depends on how that first quarter goes, I reckon.
Yep.
Yep.
That brings us to prime time Sunday night there, doesn't it?
Yeah, so second week in a row, Denver has a bit of a hard slug up against Kansas City.
Kansas City are
You
$1.10 in this game. That is
pick
free
Kansas.
money. That is free money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Put
think
your house on it.
Where is it in Kansas? Or
It's
is
in
it?
Kansas.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
an arrow,
I'd pick.
Yeah.
It's an arrow. I'd pick Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Denver's defense has shown in some improvement the last couple of weeks. I think 2 weeks ago they got the win against Miami, and then last week they were playing well, but they're pushing it uphill against against the Saints with no quarterback. But
which annoys me about that game because the defensive played well. Like
Yeah.
you lost a good game from your defense where maybe you could have competed offensively.
So I mean, I don't think KC will just steamroll them, kind of thing. That the division matchups are.
I think like you say,
can play tight in the division. So.
I think Denver will do better than people expect. I'm a bit concerned that Bryce Callahan's out. He's on injured reserve, so probably the best corner for Denver this year. They did bring back Will Parks from the Eagles, but he's not a corner. He's more a hybrid sort of safety linebacker.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be close. Like Vic Fangio runs a good defense, and they're
the concern is probably on the other side, the offense to put up enough points to give the defense rest and to keep them in the game.
Yeah, and Lindsay tweaked his knee in the last game, so again, it's going to be hard.
I'm going to strongly disagree with you boys here. I think they get decimated here. I think the Chiefs get out early. They maybe they'll take the throttle off later in the game, but I think the Chiefs win
35-14, maybe 21 if Denver can score a lucky touchdown. But that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, I don't know. Anyways, we'll find out in the next 48
$1.10. You said free money. You better put your house on it.
Instead of the house, I'll maybe chuck $50 on a minus.
Next week's podcast could be coming from the park.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Bring a generator, boys. We've got to. They're $1.97. Call it $2 for minus 13.5. I think that's very safe.
Yeah.
Anyways, that could be a little kiss of death.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm going to get that
Depends
done.
if it's snowy in KC.
Yeah. Mahomes said he's a snow guy. He likes playing.
Well, the Chiefs do well in the snow. I don't think it affects Mahomes overly too much out there.
No.
Their first matchup was in a pretty snowy game in Denver. Yeah. Monday night football.
Yeah. So that rounds out Sunday. So Monday we've got 2 games. We've got Washington at Pittsburgh.
Should think Pittsburgh win this, but I don't know. Maybe Washington is a sneaky.
I mean, obviously hit some form since
that's kind of what I'm thinking. A trap. I'm thinking trap game.
Trap game.
Yeah. Since Alex Smith has taken over, they had back-to-back wins.
2 fairly strong defenses.
Yeah, that Redskins defense is good.
Yeah.
Whose defense?
Apologies. That's a swear jar. We got to get a swear jar going. That's a football team.
Yeah.
Sorry for any offence caused.
FBT. My point, I think it's a trap game. Steelers they only just beat the Ravens team that was decimated.
Yeah.
Like they might be
They
starting
haven't
to fade
been
a little
pumping
bit.
teams. They've been
They-
winning close.
And their defense, of course, is going to keep them in it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd be interested to see losing Bud Dupree, kind of how that kind of flows and how TJ Watt kind of goes with maybe some extra protection his way.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh should.
I mean,
they should win this game.
They've got
but
class all over their defense.
I think it could be a trap game.
Yeah.
Cam Hayward, Stephon Tuitt on that.
Their
defense
secondary is
line.
amazing.
You can't just go, we'll just throw everyone at TJ because then you can worry about those other
But
lads. So.
teams have been running on them, which has been interesting.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
And Gibson's kind of hit a run of form at the moment, so maybe they can get some ground game going.
Yeah.
I think they keep it amicable. I don't think they
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think I'd pick the Steelers, but Wouldn't be surprised if they let this one slip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been saying it for a while. Like, you can't base it on Pittsburgh's record. Like, they've had a pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
easy
And I
run.
don't
So-
think Pittsburgh are built as a 16-0 team. They're not a team that should win every game this year.
No. Whether the Chiefs more so are, but
was
they're
thinking
obviously not going to go 16
Yeah,
and
well,
0.
I
But
was thinking about that for Pittsburgh when they were 7-0, 8-0. Now they're at 11-0. Starting.
They're getting up
That
there,
way,
but
yeah.
they've got to drop a game at some point.
Okay.
They will choke at some point, just like the Penrith Panthers did.
Yeah.
And
Last game then.
Tuesday night football.
Actually, no,
No,
there's
so
there's
yeah, other Monday.
Second
Yeah.
game for Monday, we have Buffalo at San Fran.
It's a good game.
yeah.
Yeah.
San Fran are sneaky
season
as
on the
well.
line, pretty
Yeah.
much in a very difficult division.
I'd still think Buffalo, but
Yeah, this is their first of the 49ers.
could be another trap
Yeah.
game for us in this
Well,
too.
It's the first of the 49ers home games in
The new
desert
stadium.
as
Yeah.
well.
See how that
Yeah.
affects them.
Yeah.
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 I'll
I
go-
wouldn't touch any of these games.
Yeah, I'll go Bills, but no certainty.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Agree.
I think, the improvement we saw out of the 49ers defense last week means I think this a very competitive, close game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Offense is getting better for the Niners. So Mullen's getting
Yeah,
comfortable.
yeah.
He's got receiving options now.
Yeah, Debo coming back.
Yeah. The running backs, I think,
was
get healthy
big.
too,
Yeah,
so-
Mostert back. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if it was in Buffalo, you'd probably go Buffalo.
Different
Yeah.
story.
I'd be more
Yeah.
confident in
Yeah.
Buffalo.
But yeah,
The fact that I got to travel across the country. Yeah.
yeah. So moving on to Tuesday, rounding out week 13, we've got Dallas at Baltimore.
So are Baltimore going to get lots of their guys back off the COVID list, or
Who knows?
So I think the two running backs are back. I think Lamar should be good for this too, from what I've heard.
okay?
Still 3 days out, so highly speculative.
But they
If
they
the-
should
if-
still beat Dallas.
Yeah, if all those guys are good to go, and the
Yeah.
fact that they were competitive against Pittsburgh
Yeah.
this week, you'd think the Ravens here.
Dallas were they poo last week? Who did they play last
They
week?
played the football team on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
and got
Yeah.
Yeah.
destroyed.
Yeah, they
At
were
home.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go Ravens here.
Yeah, Ravens, I think.
as well.
Pending
Assuming
whatever
they're
happens
all
with the,
fit and firing.
with the old Kung Flu.
Yep.
And that's it for
Yep.
the
That
NFL.
That rounds out. Yeah.
That
so
rounds up. Yeah. NFL
I think
for the week.
it's Tampa Bay and Carolina both got buys this week.
And that'd be the last buys.
Be getting
I
pretty
think
close.
so.
Yeah, pretty
Unless
close.
there's
so.
COVID forced ones, but yeah, that
Yeah.
should be probably.
So what, week 13, yeah, you're not going to have buys in the last 4 weeks of the season, are
You
you?
wouldn't
Yeah.
think so, no, not normally.
Yeah.
What
Good
else? What have we got next year, Sean?
We've got the NBA with a few player movements, and I might hand over to you boys because I need to take a wee wee.
You go for that. So Andrew Bogut's retired. He hasn't obviously been over there in the last 12 months, but he's officially retired from the NBA. The big story this week is a massive trade. Russell Brody Westbrook leaving Houston, obviously, to go over to the Washington Wizards for John Wall and a future first rounder. Russ, obviously, former OKC player there.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's huge for
Yeah.
like John Wall's a handy point guard, but Russ is obviously in a league of his own. So it's big for the Washington Wizards.
Yeah. What do you reckon that means for Harden and back at the Rockets?
Yeah, does Harden want out then? It's because they obviously both play together at OKC. They form a formidable pair. Hard to say if he goes over and then it's a completely different Washington Wizards side. If they've got Harden and Westbrook, who knows if that happens? It's interesting that
crazy,
they'd go because I think John Wall and Bradley Beal are a really good backcourt. Like I think that's their front court that needs support over there in Washington. But yeah, it's massive trade in the NBA.
Yeah, two All-Stars switching teams as well. So.
Yeah. And John Wall's no slouch either. So.
Well, the Wizards, where'd Westbrook come from? Houston. Yeah?
Houston, yes.
Well, they got
formerly OKC.
They got an extra first round as well. So they got. Actually, no, that makes sense now. Don't think about it. I know it was the other way around. So it was Westbrook was traded with a first rounder for Wall.
Right.
So yeah, it went that way.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's weird.
That's what I thought was weird.
Yeah.
I think that was right. If I've read that right, I think it was Westbrook went with a first rounder.
The way it's written,
I wrote that terribly, so don't.
Okay.
Would you like to talk
Never
about
mind.
LeBron and Bronny? I'll just
Some
fact-check.
Lakers news.
Yeah,
some
so
fact-checking there.
Lakers news. So first, early in the week, LeBron extends for 2 years for I think about 100-ish odd mil.
85.
85. Yeah, because I thought it was in like the 39 kind of range per season that he's getting extra. So he played for another 2 years. But the interesting story out of this was that'll take him into
2023.
39, I think he would be by then. But it'll take him into 2023 for, which would then be the first year his son would be possibly eligible if they change the rules for, at the moment they got to do the one and done season. Then you've got to play in another league after high school before you go professional in the NBA. But they might be scrapping that rule. They're going to look at reviewing that, at which case you can go straight from high school and he'll be a high pick. And then the idea is he wants to play with his son. Not sure if he wants to play with his son in the league at the same time or be on the same team, because it looks like his son's probably, there's talk that he's a better prospect than LeBron was coming out.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so he's probably going to be the number one.
I think Bronny's 16 already.
Yeah, 16, so 2 more years.
Yep.
So 18 would be like his end date, and then he'd come straight into the
Can you
league.
imagine a father-son combination
That's
in
just
the NBA?
mental.
There's no reason. Look, LeBron James has got more than 2 years left in him the way that he's playing.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Because he could very much take a secondary role somewhere.
Yeah.
And just be the number 2 dude.
So how much older is LeBron than his son? We must have had him fairly young.
Fairly young. I think LeBron might be 35.
Yeah.
So he'll be 38 when he's free agent in 2023.
He's 30. He's 30. He's about
20. He was 20.
36, so he must have been about 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
When he had Bronny, the eldest of his 4 kids, I believe.
Yes.
So that'd be huge. Just a fact check. Yeah. So it was Westbrook, 4, Wall, and a draft pick. The way that would make sense to me. Yes.
Yeah, I thought that made sense. And then the first time I read it, I was like,
Per watch at ESPN.
I mean, I assume this is the first time anything like this might ever happen, that a father could play with a son professional. I'm trying to rack my brain of thinking any other sport that this
where we cricket.
Like
international level.
I mean, golf is individual sport, but I mean, could you
for
be
team sports
a professionals at the
has it
same
happened
time?
in the NRL?
No, I don't feel.
I don't think anyone's really played into the almost 40.
There's be a fair bit of research to go in this. Maybe we'll make a note. We'll
But
have a look at the biggest
it's got to be
father-son combinations in
unprecedented.
sport.
You'd think, because
and
to have
I
the
imagine-
longevity,
I
you'd
imagine
have
it
to
would have
have
been a long time ago as well.
like you said, you've probably got to have your kids when you're young. Like LeBron was 20, so
Let's come back to that next week.
hard to wrap your head around. Even I think,
It's the suburban cricketer or footballer's dream. Happens pretty often in the lower grades of cricket here. The father-son, or even in footy. I've played
Professional sports, though.
grade football here with the father-son combination, which even in Aussie rules is pretty amazing. But at that elite level, we'd have to be going back, I'd reckon. We'll check the history books.
more Lakers news.
Yeah, so following a day, I think it was 2 days after the LeBron extension happened, which means, locking him to stay at the Lakers, Anthony Davis, his running mate, has signed a max deal of 5 years at 190 mil USD to then, of course, stay with the Lakers. So he'll be there throughout probably the rest of LeBron's career, and then maybe a few years afterwards as well. So
massive
Trying to build a bit of a dynasty there. The defending champs.
Yep.
As we talked about, they've got Gasol there as well coming across. Like they've got
very hard to beat.
They've got a good team.
Will be interesting with a healthy or more healthy Golden State Warriors this season, I'd imagine. Yeah. Moving forward?
Well, they were healthy till Klay Thompson did his
That's
Achilles.
why I adjusted my statement from healthy to more.
So I just want
more healthy than
I missed
last
the
year.
point on Bogut. I just want to finish off. He retired. He was trying to play for the Olympics. That was why he was staying around. So he wanted to play Tokyo 2020. Of course.
Moved on him.
Yes, and he basically said, mentally, I just can't do it and keep going until next year. Like I'm done. Had a very impressive career for like an Australian basketball player, definitely.
Certainly.
Kind of when you think about it, he did his years over the NBA, close to the end of his career, comes over to the NBL and is the MVP, like just showing the different level of talent he has compared to the local guys here as well, like coming across like the absolute defensive phenomenal force when he came over to the NBL. So big props to Andrew Bogut, who's probably had the best Australian basketball career so far. We'll see how Ben Simmons goes, but he's been the best export basketball player we've had, we'd say, for now.
For now. Paddy Mills also probably
He'd be up
in
there.
the equation. You'd think Simmons probably.
Simmons should hopefully dominate.
Too early in his career to tell.
Does that wrap up
There's a little bit F1.
basketball?
Yeah, so that'll wrap up the basketball, and we'll move into the F1. So I think the biggest story that came out of this was the Roman Grosjean crash on the second lap, I think it was. Or was the first lap?
First lap, third corner.
Yeah, that's it. I knew there was a 3 in it. First lap, third corner. So Grosjean, of course.
Insane.
I think he was fourth last at this point. To set his scene for you, he's on the left side of the track. I think Kimi Räikkönen runs wide on the left, and then a lot of the cars bunch up and are slowing down. He thinks it looks like he's going to try and get.
He misjudges the gap.
Yeah, he misjudges the gap, trying to go around to the right and hopefully overtake some of these guys.
Doesn't know
Kvyat is there. Clips the front of him, and his back tire clips the front of Kvyat's car, which spirals him straight across to the right and the barrier, which the barrier there is like 3 layers, well, not the layers, 3 levels of just steel, like your typical barrier you'd see on the side of the road.
Yeah, so the barriers there aren't your typical, I guess, crash barriers, because that's not one of those areas on the track where they expect you to crash like how
it's very much a straight. So he come out of the third corner and then he's hitting the straight.
Yeah.
And it's a long distance as well across there. So he had to go through like a sand trap. But yeah, he's hit this wall doing probably, I think they said about 220 Ks.
Yeah.
Over 200.
Well
over 200. So this steel barrier, he's gone straight through the steel barrier. It slices the car in half. So where the...
So it kind of catches just behind the air intake that sits above the driver's head.
Yeah. So I think... What's the pod thing called? What they call
the halo?
Not the halo.
No. It's your survival pod sort of thing.
The cab. It's not the cabin. I've completely forgotten what the word is. But it's the shell that essentially supports the driver. It's just a survival shell. Yeah, so it's a purpose-built tub that they sit in, and everything, the chassis is sort of built around that. Frame. Yes. So if everything else fails, it would still be good. Yep. But from say backwards, it gets split off. It goes through the barriers and gets stuck in the barriers. And the back half of the car keeps going down, slides down the barrier. So one problem with this was he's hit this barrier basically head on. Because if he hits it side on, and if it's a solid barrier, maybe he slides down it. But he's hit this head on, he's gone straight through it. So with the slicing the car in half, from what I heard, they don't reckon it sliced the fuel tank at all. Like it has a bladder.
These fuel tanks are a bladder, so they're not a solid structure, but they're made out of like Kevlar, heavy material. So
for this reason, because they don't want them to explode. But there's... Of course, you got to get the fuel out of that tank and get it to the engine, and there's a fuel return kind of system. So there's a couple of litres, of course, in the system moving around. So almost as soon as he hits it on impact, it goes up. Like it explodes into a fireball.
Huge fireball.
Huge fireball, like scary. So Roman Grosjean, he's in the cockpit for 38 seconds, I think, in total, from time of impact to time he gets out. So in that time, of course, he's got to move his steering wheel, got to take his buckles out, he's got to climb out of the car. Yeah. It's something they actually train quite a lot for this reason. He's lucky that I think they reported he did 54 Gs on impact on this crash. It's not the worst. I saw an IndyCar some guy hit the wall, he got flipped and he got hit the actual fence. And did 214 Gs.
That's
so it's
crazy.
Up there. But he's really lucky he didn't black out, one, because you've been stuck in the car. 2, it's not upside down. So because it again makes it hard.
I mean, the fact that it went through the barrier as well, got stuck halfway through.
Yeah, exactly. So he's flames all around him. He's able to climb out. Good thing as well being on the first lap. He's got the medical car following up behind. So they're on the scene straight away with one trying to grab him, pull him out, and the other trying to put the fire retardant.
I mean, that's just pretty incredible to begin with, like for those guys to be running towards that big fireball.
Yeah.
Kind of put their own health and safety at risk.
Well, that's it. So the medical team, the helmets that they wear is only just a helmet. They haven't got any face protection.
Too, so.
Open face. A lot of, they don't have like the same sort of protective gear that the drivers have. So to jump straight, their first reaction is to jump straight into that fireball is commendable.
Yeah. Because their worst fear, of course, is they got to confirm he's not out. Because if he's out, they now need to pull him out.
Yeah.
So that's, So, they were very quick to get on it, on the fire. The officials there, the marshals, they were on the sideline because Grosjean's front two tires fly off in two different directions. One goes and just misses the marshals. They're out there.
Well, I was watching the replay. There's a marshal almost standing right where he crashes. Like if they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in all sorts.
You hate to think what happened.
Absolute miracle that he's alive, really. Isn't it?
Yeah, which is probably where we should probably talk about the halo. So they introduced the halo, which is
3 years ago.
2017 they introduced it, and of course a lot of drivers not a huge fan of it. Thought there might cause issues with getting drivers out of cars, and you usually can see it after races how long it takes them to like disassemble themselves. So like we said, that's why they train it. Very much brought in to help. With accidents where, they don't just want the helmet, the crash helmet to be what takes the impact or the brunt of the force. And we've seen it a few times where the halo's actually taken that force out. And, a lot of talk about it's ugly, it's not pretty, kind of defeats the purpose of open cockpit racing. But you see this, and I saw a picture of the actual halo afterwards. You can see, so it's two bars that come from behind the back of the driver's head around, meeting the front with a bar that goes in the middle. That middle bar took essentially the brunt of the impact for one of the metal railings of the fence, and you can see the chunks actually taken out of it. So like you can see the damage done to the front of that. So if that's not there, that's his face mask basically taking that impact.
Oh yeah,
which is not designed as not as sturdy as that. His crash helmet, maybe does a job, but maybe it's gone like. Worst case, gone straight through his head, that's like decapitating.
Yeah, well, there's definitely comments about Grosjean was one of the ones who were like, it looks stupid, don't want it. And now he's like, I'm glad I have it.
Because he was coherent throughout the entire thing. He remembers it. He remembers like every second of it for him. He says it felt like an eternity. But he knew as soon as he was lifting himself out, and I think it's Sir Jack, I can't remember his last name, who was the medical driver, when he sees him there and pulling him away, like he's like, I knew I was going to be all right. And that's why I was like, not pumped, but, I had the adrenaline going and, they're trying to get him to sit down. He doesn't want to sit down. And he's pretty lucky as well. He didn't suffer overly too many burns. Like the pictures of his
second-degree burns on his hands.
Yeah, but like to his fingers, like there's not real burns. It's really, I think it was from all the joints. So, wearing the gloves, it's from like the wrist around and his ankles as well where his boots join. You can see the burns. But overall, he's like pretty good. And they're thinking he could race probably the last race of the year. Like that's what he's pushing for.
Wow.
So he's keen to, because that could be his last race in Formula One because he doesn't have a seat next year.
Okay.
Finish up for Haas too. So
it hails back to days of like Niki Lauda and what happened with him.
Yeah, well, I think Grosjean very much pointed out, like, he understands the story of Niki Lauda and how that went for Nick, who, massive burns and burnt like his entire body. He's like, he didn't want to be.
During practice of qualifying, he crashed, burnt, and then he raced that weekend.
Jeez.
Wow.
If he didn't win, he was like up there as well, like competitively raced with third-degree burns to his face.
The 80s and 90s of Formula One was crazy for one. But this again just proves like, the amount of risk and things can definitely go wrong. And that's why they implement all these systems, put these things all in place for the very reason that, hey, we don't want to have more deaths in the sport.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, whether he races again this year or next year, the fact is he's alive, really, and that's a bonus, really, considering that crash. I think whether he races again this year or next year, just be thankful he's alive. Right.
Able to walk away from that.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. He got everything intact. Like, it's a huge crash. Like one of the worst crashes I've seen in probably a decade. Like it was bad.
Yeah.
But following on from that, if we get into the race,
Yeah, so I mean, obviously red flagged.
yep, they I think missed about an hour because they of course had to rebuild the barrier. They're racing again this week at that same racetrack.
Yep.
So it would not surprise me if they
Different track,
different
different layout.
Yeah, cool.
But same track, same location.
Yeah. So
Yep.
if they reuse that area, wouldn't surprise me if they have extra barriers and stuff.
Yep.
They've done some extra work during the week to address that.
That's it. But yeah, so moving on. So after the restart, same corner.
Yeah.
Pretty much identical sort of situation.
Yep.
Lance Stroll moves across from left to right, hits Kvyat again. This time,
Kvyat did a late dive really on this and didn't really commit enough
he
to
got
it.
he got a 10-second penalty off this incident.
But flipped Stroll over and Stroll lands on his head.
Obviously, Stroll was all right. He was able to get out of the car fine.
No problems. He was just annoyed that Kvyat rolled him over.
That's it. After that, pretty stock standard race.
Yeah, Hamilton led every lap of the race.
Yep.
Wins it easy. Bottas really had a bad day. He started, what did he start? P like 2 or 3, but he fell back very, very quickly and then couldn't recover enough. They did pit him early and he came back in. I think he finished like 8th or 9th. Ricciardo, of course, similar, had a bad start. Got a better run through the first pit window and then held on and finished 7th. But yeah, Hamilton very much coasted to a win.
Yeah.
Sergio Perez was 3rd, hoping for his first podium. 3 laps ago, his car blows up on him. So he doesn't finish the race. Yeah,
so after the fireball at the start of the race, we had a little bit of a fire engine at the end of the race as well.
Big smoke.
So that meant that both racing points did not finish. And I think that moved McLaren up into 3rd for the construction points.
And Renault are close behind as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So
they're all competing for 3rd place at this point.
Yeah. So devastating for Racing Point, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. So then from this race, coming out of it, that Hamilton actually tested positive for COVID. So Lewis Hamilton gets COVID.
The day after, wasn't it?
Yes. So he, maybe too much celebrating for him. He will miss, of course, this week's race. So then they were talking about who will take his position. There's some talk about George Russell for the first, Jack Aitken as well from Williams, who I think is one of their test drivers.
Yeah, and they've also got other test drivers with Mercedes as well.
Yeah, and then Jenson Button, of course, threw his hand in like, hey, I'm happy to race. He's now commentating for F1. Okay. But in the end, they did pick and go with George Russell, so he was the one they chose. And in first practice yesterday, yeah, he was the fastest driver. So taking, he's a little bit bigger than Lewis.
Not bad.
Extra foot size.
Yeah, extra foot size, a little taller, but...
Yeah, so put that into context. He's been racing for Williams, which are at the bottom of the
dead
pack.
last.
He finishes 19th out of 20 most races.
Hasn't scored a point in F1 so far in his career. He's still young, 22, I think.
Yeah, touted as one of the most talented drivers in F1. It's just...
Doesn't have a
the
car.
situation he's in, yeah.
So now he's in a good machine and watch him go.
That's it.
Yeah, another Brit, of course. May give Mercedes some problems contract-wise because both Bottas and Lewis aren't contracted for next season, so they could pick Hamilton. And whether they go, well, maybe George Russell will give him a sneaky and we'll move Bottas on. So
lucky for Lewis, he can miss a race and have no impact on.
They've already won
winning
both
the championship.
They've won both championships already. So.
It will be interesting because I think Toto, who's the principal for Mercedes, is Bottas's agent, but also has close connections with George Russell, who came up through the Mercedes Academy.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's
English drivers. So.
Yeah, interesting off season, I think.
Yeah,
next year.
So that kind of then leads into the talk about seats for next year. So Mick Schumacher has been confirmed. He will get a race next year.
The son of Michael Schumacher.
Of course.
Wow.
So,
father-son duos we're just talking about.
Yeah.
So he will race in Formula 1 next year. So Kimi, where's Kimi going?
Yeah, so Kimi, as long as he doesn't retire, he will have raced with Michael Schumacher and Jos Verstappen.
There you go.
At the start of his career, and next year he will race against Mick Schumacher and Max Verstappen, their sons.
Crazy.
Wow.
So probably props to the longevity of Kimmy.
Yeah.
Has Kimmy got any kids that
crazy
he
stat.
can race with and throw him in there as well?
Maybe. He's a bit of a playboy, so unconfirmed.
Maybe he doesn't. Yeah, he's got kids he doesn't know about. Maybe, so.
Yeah, so Bahrain for this week's in full swing. Qualifying tonight with the race tomorrow night.
Yep.
It'll be
It'll
interesting.
be a very interesting race because
Hamilton won't win it.
Hamilton won't win it. Russell was fastest so far, and the two Red Bulls were the next fastest.
Yeah, it will be interesting because it is a shorter course compared to last week.
Yeah, I
and
think
a very
the average lap
fast course.
time's like 54 something seconds.
So George Williams did a 54 as the fastest time.
Yeah. Whereas last week it was a minute 30, I think.
Yeah, so there's 3 long straights, 11 turns, a couple of them are chicanes, so it'll be a very fast track. Hopefully some of that traffic will pull the Mercedes back and maybe make it a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting race, this one.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll finish up the Formula 1 news for this week. We will cover the race next week, of course. A little bit of boxing news. Of course, the Hunt and Gallen fight's coming up in 2 weeks. Bit of talking for back and forth, of course, in the media about, I think Mark Hunt's comment was part-time boxer, full-time grub.
Yeah, that's the quote in verbatim, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be an interesting fight.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And no one's, of course, is talking about the Sue fight that's going on before, as the main event. So, be definitely an interesting one. But the one I want to talk about was Terence Crawford, who wins again, gets another TKO. He's defended the welterweight belt now 4 times after moving up from, I think he had the lightweight belt for a while. 37 wins, 0 losses, 28 by knockout. Probably one of the premier boxers.
Very impressive.
Very impressive.
That's starting to get Mayweather like with his record there, isn't it?
That's why I wanted to mention it and kind of track it because it's getting up there, and he's only defending his belt essentially, and he's holding that belt for quite a while. It'd be interesting to see how his career progresses now because he's very young as well. Like, definitely an up-and-coming talent. Murdered Jeff Horn when Jeff Horn had the belt, took it from Manny. So he's got a good career going forward.
So he's 33 years old. How old's Mayweather?
40 something.
Yeah, so definitely
Time.
got the time.
Yeah.
Depends how often he wants to fight.
That's
If
true.
he wants to fight 3 times a year, you could definitely get there.
I mean, you got to get the
Right.
quality of opponents for him, don't you, as well? That
Well, in
is
the
good.
boxing, very much it's like he'll be forced to fight guys he probably doesn't want to fight.
Yeah.
Like there could be no names because part of their system is like they have to fight certain dudes to maintain their belt status. But so I think he's got another. Maybe is he at 50 now or is he still 49?
I think 50 you got to.
Yeah. So 13 away.
Did the McGregor fight count towards his
I
official
think it
record?
did, which
I
is
think it
why
did,
it was
yeah.
an easy 50 for him.
Yeah.
We'll have a quick look at the EPL here.
Yeah, so
Conscious of the time.
Finish this
definitely
off. for
just
the
wrap it
week.
up with the EPL because a quarter of the season's been completed. Tottenham, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Leicester City make up the top 4. Tottenham and Chelsea played a scoreless draw the other week.
Boring.
Yeah, and of course Leicester City was upset by Fulham 2-1.
Yep.
We've kind of been following Man U and Man City, who were in the bottom 10.
Yeah, crawling back.
Crawling back.
Not
into
very
it.
common that you'd see the top 4 without either Manchester team in there, right?
Yeah. Probably hasn't happened for a very long time.
So I think
Not since City got bought by that billionaire dude.
Yeah.
I think they were 14 and 16 a couple of weeks ago, so they've now moved up to 9 and 11th respectively.
A team that's not crawling back is Arsenal. They're still,
No,
still stuck
I think
there.
they're still 14 at the moment. Only a quarter of the season, of course, gone on. Bit of lockdown happening over in London at the moment, so be interested to see how they go. I think they played Champions League games this week, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because I saw some
'Cause I know-
guy was the oldest to score a hat trick.
Yeah.
And then he ended up with 4.
wow.
Because
Can't remember his name.
Sydney played one of the Asian Championship guys, and they beat them.
As you can tell, I'm a big soccer fan.
Yeah.
It's something we need to work on. I do like my soccer. There's been so much on at
I
the
know.
moment.
It's hard to keep
crazy
track of it
run
all.
And
We do our best here. We
Squeeze
do our
it all
best
in.
here.
Might
Well,
need
that's
to
it.
have to go to bi-weekly one day.
Yeah. So the kind of the
when the sponsors come through.
yeah.
At Sportsbet.
So even though they've kind of had the lockdown going, I can't remember exactly which stadiums are because only out of the 20 clubs, only 10 I think are allowed at the moment to bring fans back because we've been playing in front of no fans.
And I imagine that's all outside of London, the Greater London
I
area.
thought so, but I think some of them in London actually get games. So it's maybe certain parts of London are allowed to have fans, but at the moment it's only max.
What a schmozzle this
Yeah,
year.
2,000 at games, and some of the requirements they have to wear masks. No hugging's allowed, no back slaps, no high fives. So they've said
Hard
that.
to enforce that.
How are you going to enforce that?
Yeah.
They've got to maintain social distance, of course, as part of where they sit. So yeah, it'd be interesting how that goes. But fans starting to make their way back to soccer games in England.
Exciting news.
Yeah, and not so exciting news is Sheffield.
Sheffield United.
They have, in history, they have set the league history, of course, for the worst start in the EPL. And I think they've won one game, or they got 1 point. I can't remember how they got it. Maybe they got a draw. But they're very much in line for regulation. Almost guaranteed.
Relegation.
Sorry. They're very much in line, and that'll most likely happen for them. For any Sheffield Field fans out there, we feel bad for you.
Yes, so
Long-suffering fans as well. They're going back for the first time in over 20 years.
so they got 1 point off one draw.
Yeah,
And that's how many games gone, did we say?
10
games.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Pretty ordinary start.
yes.
Oh, well, still.
Worst start in history.
It's a long season. They might be able to turn it around. Who knows? I think that'll do us for On the Esky.
Yes, that is us for On the Esky. So, of course, we covered all the domestic sports, starting with the cricket, the NRL, AFL, and then finished with rugby. We then talked about the week that was and the week that will be in the NFL, followed by some NBA, F1, boxing, and, of course, the soccer.
Thanks, boys. A bit of a marathon.
Yeah.
I think it might
Lot
be
to talk about.
Mickey the Ginger Ninja's last appearance for a few
Thanks for having me
eps.
here for a few weeks, lads.
It's been an
Yeah.
absolute pleasure. Yeah, great insights.
Yeah.
Especially
Have to go back to Dirty Radelaide.
Yeah, and
right.
especially helped us out on the AFL and NFL side of things.
Might have to do a few call-ins
Yeah.
next
Yes.
season.
We will work it out and get you involved. Thank
Good
you
stuff,
all.
lads. Good stuff.
Thank you,
Great
boys. Thank you, Steamer. Thank you, Mickey.
See you next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.